Hi guys, sorry about that. Welcome back to Kitchen Court Cases, where we watch court in my kitchen. However, today we are not in my kitchen. We are in a room in the sick bay of the kitchen house, where I am recovering from my unknown
Hi
ailment.
guys, sorry
Oh,
about
hold on.
that. Welcome back to Kitchen Court Cases, where we watch court in my kitchen. However, today we are not in my kitchen.
I've gotten so good at turning that off, but today I'm a little off. Okay, so I am hoping that everybody's doing well. I'm doing okay. I was at the hospital last night and have they don't know. They don't know. I've done all the tests and they just seem to say, take some Advil, you'll be fine. So I appreciate you guys being here. I have a detention docket for us to watch. I think it'll be good. I am awaiting a dinner to be brought to me. This is amazing. Mashed potatoes, my request. What have you guys had for dinner? Let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear about it. And if you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I'm so thankful to see you all in the chat. I appreciate all of your concern yesterday. There's a new button on my screen, which is cool. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, great. Cool. Love it when there's new buttons that don't work. Let's get this going with some Judge Kimmy Kim, shall we? Give me one moment here. Also, you guys, please hit that like button. You know that is how we take attendance around here. So, like the video to make sure it's counted. Caesar salad sounds yummy. I think I started 2 streams by accident, Les. I'm not. I'm not on the ball today.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, here
All
comes
right,
Judge
this is the
Kimmy.
detention docket for the 323rd for Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. As we are approaching the end of the coronavirus crisis, we're going to be soon wrapping up the Zoom hearings. But we're still under the current orders, which require remote sessions. And so we're using Zoom for the detention hearing to comply with the Open Courts Act of the Texas Constitution. We are broadcasting these proceedings on YouTube to give the public meaningful access to what happens inside their courtrooms. This is still a court proceeding and court hearing. The court does expect everyone to behave appropriately for court. That means your camera needs to be on and you need to be centered on the camera. Please do not have bright lights behind your head, as that tends to shadow out your face. And please behave appropriately. Do not lay down in bed. Please be dressed appropriately. Do not use illegal substances, consume alcohol or tobacco while in court. Please do not have moving backgrounds, since that's distracting for all the people. So I guess Nicole's mother, if you could please turn on your camera and we can get started. Nicole's mother, this is my second request to turn on your camera. All right. And Nicole's mother, this is your third and final request to turn your camera on. All right, remove her. All right, of course, if you're an officer of the court, feel free to turn off your camera as you find necessary. All right, we'll start with Hector Aravalo. Hector?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. I'm Judge Kim. This is a 10-day hearing. I'm deciding whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. Your attorney, Mr. Adler, is here present. Good morning, Mr. Adler.
Good morning, Judge.
So, Hector, let's see. You were on probation from, last January, or last June, we placed you on probation for aggravated robbery with a knife. And so you're on probation, and we got a referral from Fort Worth PD for unlawful transfer of handgun. According to the police report, they were dispatched for a shooting call. When they got there, met with Fort Worth firefighters who was treating a juvenile for a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And on investigation, he had said that he was given the gun by Hector Aravalo to store for him the night before. There's a Snapchat video that Hector uploaded. And in the video, they can see an arm with a gun being fired. There's a Glock with extended magazine and threaded barrel. The gun from an account named Hector. The gun located in Larry's room was a Glock 17 with a matching threaded barrel and extended magazine. And you tested positive for marijuana. All right, so Hector, you understand my policy as kids with guns is always detain them and make sure that things are safe to release them. And it'll be safe for the community as well as the child. Your probation officer is asking me to release you on electronic monitor. All right, so Miss Montalongo, are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right, so help me out with this one. I mean, he just got on probation for aggravated robbery. He's smoking weed, and he ends up with a gun and transfers it to another juvenile. Like, why? Like, I'm trying to figure out why we release him to the community, or why aren't we filing to revoke his probation?
Your Honor, we did revoke his probation. He has been staying sober during his probation, but he did relapse because of the stress of the new case. And that's the reason why he recently used. But prior to that, he has been staying clean.
Yeah,
and he has been following his house rules.
Right. But before that, he also had threatened to shoot up a school and got probation for that.
No, Your Honor, he made a threat at a bus.
At a bus, okay, threatened to shoot a bus. So when he was on probation, was he on EM at all?
Yes, Your Honor, he's been on the EM before, and he did very well.
Can you tell me the details of how the gunshot wound? Was it accidental discharge, or did the child try to commit suicide? Do you know what happened?
On the report, it says it was accidental. We don't have any more information other than that.
Okay, so you got to level 1 outstanding on March 4th. How far did he drop?
Your Honor, he was on level 1 since February 17th, and then he dropped on 3-4 for majoring for several infractions. I dropped him to unacceptable, which dropped him to a level 2, and then he got back on level 1 on 3-4.
And what did he do?
According to the infractions, he said that he had some not doing his classwork, and he had some gang drawings. But I spoke with Hector, and he said that it was a kid behind him, and that he asked to speak with the supervisor 3 days back to back, and they never came to see him to correct the infractions. As of today, we have not had any problems with Hector with any kind of gang activity.
So is his case a determinate sentence or indeterminate sentence?
As of today, they just filed a
I meant the aggravated robbery that he's on probation for.
It's indeterminate.
Indeterminate? Was anybody injured in that case?
Yes, they did hit physically. The victim, he was hit with a fist.
Okay. Was there restitution in that probation?
Yes, Your Honor, there was.
How's he done on restitution payments?
He hasn't been making his payments, Your Honor. Family's struggling at this time. Sometimes their phones are getting cut off.
How far behind is he on restitution?
Let me check, Your Honor.
Okay.
I believe.
While she's checking that, though, does she not look like she's at a children's birthday party over here, Montalongo or whatever?
Your Honor, he's $466 total, and he's behind $149.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm willing to release him on electronic monitor as long as he stays on level 1-0 and he catches up on restitution payments. And the reason why, Hector, is because if you have money for marijuana that you're testing positive for, then you have money for restitution. All right, and then before I interrupt you, if you want to respond, saying if somebody gave you the weed, then if you're going to make that admission, then you're going to tell us who gave you the weed, because that's a separate criminal offense. So either y'all come up with the money to pay the restitution for the person that you robbed, so we can make them whole, or that, I mean, we need to look about doing some of your case, because you're on probation for aggravated robbery, and then you find yourself in possession of a gun, allegedly. So if your parents can catch up and get current on restitution, I want to let you go on electronic monitoring. All right? Thank you, Hector.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Alder, I'm gonna, is Daniel Garcia available? I know it's kind of out of order, but the next one's a female. Y'all happen to have Daniel Garcia available? Do we know which pot he's in?
Whenever she'll get offended or something.
Okay, let's just quickly do Nicole Brantley,
Thank you, Judge.
and then Mr. Adler will get back. Here's the next one after that.
Thank you.
Actually,
All right.
on that
Ms.
note,
Brantley,
the
are you
exchange
here?
rate is great
Yes,
right
sir.
now.
Hello,
for
Nicole.
guys. Oh, Courtney, yay! Thank you for gifting a membership. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Bezia, Minta. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. That is so awesome. Oh, yay, Lynn, you got a membership. That's so fun. Make sure to clock in for your shift. The exchange rate, actually, somebody was asking me on Buy Me a Coffee the other day because it in Canadian dollars it is a little different than US dollars. So all your dollars go very far here. I appreciate them very, very much. Thank you. Let's continue on, but seriously, if anybody's new here, welcome. This is detention dockets. These are detention hearings from the 2021 timeframe. They're from the 323rd District Court of Tarrant County, Texas. And this is Judge Kimmy Kim up above there. This is me in this square. And yeah, let's hi everybody who's in the chat. Let's give hugs and kisses. I love that. Yeah, it's this is something we like to watch. Oh, I forgot to put up the detention dockets. 1 for detained, 2 for released. You vote in the chat. You can vote as many times as you'd like, and you can change your mind. I love your guys' US dollars. I'm not gonna lie to you at all. Not at all at all. I love them. Thank you. Oh, okay. Not much laughing. They could not figure out what was wrong with me. They did ask me if I had been doing any vigorous dancing lately. I said a little bit, but I really don't think that's it, but we'll see. I have a funny story to tell you guys in a couple minutes about this ER visit that I think as Americans, most of you, I would like to hear your thoughts. I'm not cooking anything. I was cooked mashed potatoes and gravy for myself to eat. Thank you, Nana. So, I'm that's what we're eating.
Judge Kim, this is a detention hearing. When a kid's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 business days and have to decide whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, we'll provide one for you. We have appointed Ms. Lothorpe as your attorney. Ms. Lothorpe, are you here? Ms. Lothorpe? All right. Mary, who's the attorney for the day? All right, Ms. Hopkins, I'm going to ask you to substitute in for Ms. Lothorpe.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. All right,
Good morning,
Nicole. So I saw somebody on Zoom that said Nicole's mom. I'm assuming it's yours, but they wouldn't turn their camera on, so I removed them from Zoom. Okay. So that's just to let you know. I guess, are you dad here for Nicole?
Yes, sir. She
Okay.
couldn't figure out how to turn her camera on.
Right. I'm sorry. It's just one of those who try and accommodate parents who can't make it, but if they can't make it, then we just can't. We can only devote so many resources.
Right.
All right. So Nicole, let's see. You were here in November of 19 for possession of controlled substance, penalty group 3 under 28 grams, possession of a dangerous drug, both of those misdemeanors, and possession of a controlled substance under 1 gram of penalty group 1, which is a felony. And then now, Tarrant County Sheriff's Office brought you in. They're saying about 2:15 yesterday morning, there's a traffic stop for speeding and driving on the shoulder. You were identified as the driver and seen hiding an unknown object which looked like a glass pipe under a blanket. So they did a search, found the glass pipe with clear liquid, and you said it was liquid meth, and it did test positive in the field for, well, Mr. Lahara, I'm assuming test positive for methamphetamine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, and we gave you a drug test when you came in. You were positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine. And so, Dad, my question is, where was she supposed to be yesterday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Supposed to be at at her grandmother's.
Okay. Is she staying with her grandmother? Grandpa?
Yes. Yes.
Dad? She is?
Yes.
How long has she been staying there?
Since Christmas.
Okay. So, my question, I guess, the obvious question is, why is she staying with her parents?
Well, she doesn't want to stay with me, but she doesn't stay with her mother because they fight all the time. And then there's Uncle Tim. There's a third party in this situation that she lives with, has lived with for the last 2 years. And that's where she stayed also.
Okay. I mean, would you like her to stay with you? Is it just
I
her
would love for
problem?
her to stay with me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm really concerned about the street drug use, the methamphetamine use. I'm sure you are as well. I'm sure Mom is. I'm sure everyone is. So, Nicole, this is actually really simple for me. I'm going to detain you. I let you go last time. I remember that. So at this point, I'm going to detain you. And then whenever you get to the point where you're saying, I'm going to go home and live with my dad and follow all his rules, his instructions, his limitations, then I'm going to let you go and live with your dad. You're going to be on electronic monitor and you can have a sweat patch, and we're going to keep track of you. But I need you to get to level 1 outstanding here so I know that you can follow all the rules. And when I release you to dad, you're going to follow all of his rules. If you give him any kind of attitude, if you refuse to do what he says, if you're slow to do what he says, then he's required to let us know, and we'll just bring you back here, and we're going to do this back and forth over and over again. All right? So, Nicole, those are your options. Prove to me you can follow the rules, then I'm going to let you go. But if I let you go, it's going to be back to your father's house where you have adequate supervision.
Okay, that
All right?
Your Honor, may I say something?
Yes, Ms. Ross.
Hi, I am Tara Ross. I'm a Parker County Juvenile Probation Officer.
Okay.
And I also have a pending case on her for possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram.
Okay. Was it methamphetamine?
It was methamphetamine. Of even more concern when she was, when 911 was called, she was actually high on fentanyl that day. And so she was released to the hospital. And then the case was referred to me out of custody. So I just want it to be.
Okay, that's a little confusing. She was high on fentanyl, but arrested and charged with possession of meth. Again, so something that you guys need to be aware of, meth is a horrible drug for a lot of people, and it is very hard to kick that addiction. It's possible, absolutely, but it is very difficult. And I think you'll agree that over and over again in court, we hear methamphetamine being something that is a stumbling block for people. The reason I mention that is because a lot of kids self-medicate because they're undertreated mental health conditions. I'm not saying that meth is a good, uh, you know, solution for that, but it doesn't surprise me at all that she's using meth and fentanyl. In the city where I live, in fact, they don't even call the drug fentanyl. Fentanyl, that's not what you order per se if you were downtown on the street. They call it down, as in a downer, versus upper, which would be like meth. So it's absolutely common for people that are abusing drugs to be using a, a downer to numb their feelings and numb their sort of what's going on, but then an upper to stay awake. And it is entirely very sad and something that is difficult to treat, but not impossible. Um, when I was in the hospital yesterday, there were signs posted all over the place asking if people were using down, um, they had a microdosing of Suboxone method that they were offering to people. So, there are things out there, but the other thing is, and it's hard, blues, there's one for you, Toby. The thing is, it's hard for people to sort of comprehend, but the other thing about meth is that it does come in liquid form. It's a man-made drug, right? It's not derived from a natural source like cocaine or something like that. It's made in a lab. And so there's lots of potential for that to go wrong. But also that means that under a gram of meth is still a lot of meth. That's still a lot. You would measure it in points of grams, not grams. And so it's not like other drugs. And sometimes I think that the law doesn't really understand that. Like when you hear somebody with a lot of grams of meth, that's a lot of meth. Like it's crazy. Anyways, let's continue on. Um, Suboxone is very difficult to get in the States, I'm reading. I mean, I'm literally, there was signs all over the hospital just offering it to people. Um, so the problem is that like there's no heroin anymore in most cities. Um, the reality is, and what you'll find is that fentanyl's been in my city for 5 years. It started here. Very, very, and here's something else, guys, and this might be something that people don't like to think about, but the reality is good fentanyl, aka the ones you get from the doctor that are pills, they don't kill people. That's not how people die taking fentanyl. Um, People die because drug dealers, unscrupulous drug dealers, are importing fake fentanyl from China, and then they are breaking it down and not properly dosing it. And so people aren't dying from real fentanyl that they would get from, like, let's say they had an access to somebody's fentanyl pills. That's not going to kill somebody because the dosage there is very, very metered and you know it. What kills people is um, the unknown mixture on the street that you might get, unfortunately. Um, and again, there is a lot of sad realities about drug use and why people use drugs. And I think that there are some less harmful methods that we can go with. But, the government has a hard time doing that. All governments. I'm Canadian and it has a hard time doing that. But, anyways, we'll continue on. It is a very scary drug, fentanyl, but really and it's not dangerous when it's made properly. It's actually a very good drug. Hey, Georgia Peach, thank you for joining. And yeah, so fentanyl patches, if they cut them up, that can be a quicker acting version of it, but still, that's still good, clean fentanyl. What you're dangerous is carfentanil, which is the sort of veterinarian level drug that is imported from China. And again, it's something that you don't really want to be out there doing that. I worked at a dispensary for a long time, and many, many, many patients I had get off of heavy duty narcotic drugs by using heavy duty THC doses. The risk is very much lessened when you're on THC versus heroin or down or fentanyl. However, you get a very similar effect if you take enough of it, really. If you take high dose edible THC, you're going to be on the couch pretty much knocked out. So, and again, my recommendation for everybody is speak with a doctor if you can, and if you need help, reach out. That's the real thing here. But this is very scary to me when you have a young girl, 16 or whatever, using fentanyl or any drugs, methamphetamine. It's very, very scary. Hi, basement gardener. Um, Lake Okeechobee. I do know something about that, Lynn. How weird is that? Um, if you look up deer meat for dinner, he's a YouTuber. I think his brother and him do a lot of stuff on that lake. I used to watch their videos all the time. Anyways, let's continue. Ew, yeah, sucking on fentanyl patches. Like Sad. It has been on the streets for a long time, but those, again, that is usually misappropriated pills of other people. So the drug wasn't killing people back then because it was not unregulated. Those were just stolen regulated drugs. What um what is really killing people right now is the fake fentanyl. Like the the stuff that's coming in illegally. And so, oh yeah, you watch Dear Me and Blue Gabe. I love Blue Gabe too. Um, but yeah, that is really what's killing people. So 15 years ago, you heard about people overdosing on heroin and overdosing on things, but you didn't hear about people dying off of fentanyl in the numbers that they are now. That's because it was not the same fentanyl. This is fake fentanyl that's coming in. And so that's why people still steal drugs and still like it's that's why pain pills are such a hot commodity right now. Anyways, let's continue. I've said it now 10 times. Yeah, you don't want that, Georgia. Like, I'm from BC, which is BC Bud. Like, we're known for our good quality pot, and it's not cool to be putting other stuff in pot. That's not fun at all. Not at all.
Be on record that this is obviously a continued pattern.
Sure.
And
Ms. Ross, can I ask, does she have a pending case or has she been adjudicated in Parker County?
it is still pending.
It's still pending. Dad, where do you live?
2008 Lexi Lane,
I'm sorry, what county do you live in?
Terrence.
Tarrant County. All right. And where does grandma live?
She lives in Parker County.
Parker County. And so are there existing court orders as far as where Nicole's supposed to live?
Well, her mother has guardianship over it.
Okay. So I guess there was a divorce in the past?
Yes,
Okay. So the law states that a juvenile judge can supersede another judge's orders for possession and access while a juvenile case is pending. All right. So you don't, at this point, it is not whatever that judge had previously said is kind of on hold. It goes secondary to what I say during a juvenile case. Once the case is over, it reverts back to what another judge had ordered. Okay.
right.
So that's kind of where we're at now. What county does mom live in?
She lives in Tarrant County.
In Tarrant County as well. Okay, so I think Tarrant County, Ms. Ross, Tarrant County may look like the proper jurisdiction.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure y'all aren't, I don't know. I know Tarrant County's resources are probably a little bit bigger than Parker County's. So that may actually end up better because it looks like we're gonna have a lot of treatment involved for this child. And so, so I'm sure that's.
I apologize for interrupting. I did call Odyssey House yesterday and spoke with them about a potential placement if that's something that
Yes.
would be interested in researching.
Could you contact, I think it's Mr. Larha, is it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Have y'all communicated about this before?
Briefly.
Okay.
The probation officer and me.
Yes, Mr. Larha, all right. Yeah, if we can just coordinate, I mean, I love you guys out in Parker County. So if you've done a lot of the legwork and stuff, I'd love to piggyback off of y'all so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so we'll figure out what's best. But I'm kind of curious what we can do. Well, Ms. Laura, do you have notes last time I held Nicole? How long did she stay here for?
Let me see, she was,
4 or 5 hours, I believe.
yeah, just few hours, Your Honor.
Just a few hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, yeah, you know what, Nicole, we're going to get to level 1 and hold her for 3 days. Because if evidently it looked like you were caught with methamphetamine on your possession. And so I'm just worried about how recently you used and how much you're using. So I'd like to kind of monitor you and make sure how things are. So it's going to be level 1.0 and hold it for 72 hours. At that point, if you're level 1.0 and you're willing to accept all the supervision from your father, then I'm willing to give you a chance and release you to him on electronic monitor with a sweat patch. Nicole, do you understand what a sweat patch is?
No, sir.
Okay, a sweat patch is basically a sticker we put on your arm and it absorbs the oil coming out of your skin. And anytime you use any substances, it naturally gets secreted through your skin, and the patch collects it, and we send the patch off to the lab, and we can test. It's a 24/7 monitoring. You can't time it. You can't fool it. There's nothing you do. It's a single-use sticker. So if you try and take it off, it'll never stick back again. And so it's just a 24/7 monitoring. That way we know if you're using anything at all, as opposed to your analysis, which you can try and time your use around your samples. Okay. So just to let you know what you're looking at. Ms. Lahara, let's go ahead and get a hair follicle test as well. I'm kind of curious what other substances she's been using, whether it's only methamphetamines or other things. So let's go ahead and get that sample. That gives our probation a better idea of the bigger picture of what's going on. Ms. Ross, you think that's probably a good idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's go ahead and do that. I want a bigger snapshot, a better picture of what's happening. Now, Nicole, I'm gonna let you know if you start testing positive for things other than methamphetamine, then the deal's off. All right, so we may look at other things. I'm just based on what I'm seeing right now, based on what your dad's representing to me, what Ms. Ross is, Mr. Lahara. That's the deal right now, and you can always make the situation worse. Okay.
Can I say one more concern?
Yes.
My understanding is, and Mr. Lahara, if you could confirm this per our conversation earlier, is that the amount that she was found with yesterday morning was a significant amount, I believe more than personal use.
It was 120.97 grams.
20, did you say 120?
120.97 grams.
120.97
grams.
I thought I saw possession under a gram. Can I see that? Nicole? Oh, it's 4 to 200.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Oh, I was looking at her history from last.
Oh, okay. Did he just say 42? What? How many grams? Remember what I just said about points of grams? That's definitely trafficking. And again, I hate it that a young girl is being used like this. I don't have my P.O. box yet, but weed is legal here. And good evening, everybody. Let's just see what he says here. That's not good. This girl's in some serious stuff. Nice, Rita. That sounds awesome. I managed a dispensary for a number of years. It's fun. It's fun to help people. For sure. My email's up there.
Last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's 100, almost 200 grams.
120.97 grams.
120, okay.
120.
Yeah, Nicole.
Baby.
Yeah, Nicole, this is too much. All right. Decisions have consequences, and we started deciding to become a drug dealer or a mule, and then that changes things. I'm not going to let you go because I don't want you found in a ditch somewhere. All right. All right. So, Ms. Ross, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, I thought it was just under a gram. So, all right, so I still want the hair follicle test, but I just want to go ahead and detain her for now. Let's see what the options are. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, you're at a crossroad
Yeah,
of your
that's
life
like
now
$6,000
where you're involved with the
wholesale.
criminal justice system.
That's like a lot. And meth heads never have that much. That's the thing about meth heads is that they don't. You either are buying little points of meth off your dealer or you're a dealer. That's basically it. There's the two. Anyways. Thanks for popping in, Doc. I appreciate that. Oh, Nana's on the phone.
And you need to make some hard decisions about where you're going. If you want to live the lifestyle that you're living, then you can. That's your option. You will get out of here. You'll get out from the juvenile courts, but it's not a happy and not a good path. If you decide this is the point in your life where you're done with it, you're going to leave it behind you, then you need to prove that to me. And I'm going to watch you over a period of time make that decision. But I am not inclined to let a 16-year-old drug dealer out on the streets practicing what Nicole, don't lie to me. Well, I'm not seeing good things happen to
Rita,
16-year-old girls that end up in the drug
Rita,
trade.
if you want to own a dispensary, you're going to need to know that you got 28 grams in an ounce, not 24 or 25. But that's true. There's 28.
Okay, so
It was in
time to think about it,
water.
make some decisions.
What, baby?
Water.
It was water.
Nicole,
And they counted water again.
Nicole, I'm gonna suggest that you don't speak any further, okay?
I would listen to your attorney. All right, Nicole. All right, so we'll do Daniel Garcia.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopkins. Why am I missing the police report for Daniel Garcia? Did I give that back to you, Mary? All right, Mr. Garcia, I'm Judge Kim. This is a 10-day hearing. You've been here for 10 days, so I'm deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Mr. Adler is here as your attorney. Good morning, Mr. Adler.
Good morning, Judge.
So, all right, Daniel, this is the argument, ex-girlfriend, and so we're leaving. Daniel allegedly pulled out a small gun, shot towards Maria. Your ex-girlfriend, her mom, and her husband. And then the mom was hit in the shoulder. They found casings, pursuit, Daniel's vehicle wrecked, in custody. There was a Glock 19. Oh, this is the one where allegedly you hid a gun in the children's area of a restaurant. And so, and then there was also a 11-month-old child in the car that you wrecked out in. So, and you're not level 1 outstanding. So Daniel, if you're not level 1 outstanding, I'm not going to let you go.
What level am I?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what level I am?
You're level 1 acceptable.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm not saying that if you're level 1 outstanding, I'm going to let you go. I'm just saying if you're not level 1 outstanding, I'm not going to let you go. You have to get level 1 outstanding before I even consider it, and then I weigh everything else out. But I don't even start thinking about it if you can't be level 1 out. All right, Daniel, so I'm going to go and detain you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adler. You're excused to go to the other court proceeding.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Aaliyah Jenkins. Hiding a gun in the children's area of a restaurant.
Yes, sir.
All right, Aaliyah, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days. I'm deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days where you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. And your attorney, Ms. Barrows, is here. If I remember this one, this is the Arlington police officer that was off duty at QT. 2 kids came out, one with a gun, one hopped over. I think this is the one where you, let's see, allegedly that you were identified as the one with a gun pointing at the police officer while robbing him. So at this point, I'm still not comfortable releasing you. This is a serious offense involving a gun. And so you have to show me a pattern of behavior that convinces me that it's safe to release you to the community. I think also, Ms. Guerrero, she has pending cases in Dallas, is that correct?
She has a pending case with Irving PD, sir. I left a message for the detective, and I have not heard back from him.
Okay. Now, Leah, I'm going to let you know, I don't know when your case here in Tarrant County is going to resolve, but I will let you know that if Dallas is moving faster than we are when we ease the COVID restrictions, I'm okay releasing you to Dallas so you can take care of your business there and returning you here after. At this point, if it's still under investigation, there's no real case yet, so we're going to go and keep you here. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
Or Jenkins. All right, thank you. All right, Roderick Jones.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Guerrero.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Barrows. All right, Mr. Jones. Roderick Jones. There we go, Mr. Jones. I'm Judge Kim. This is a 10-day hearing deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. And this is the murder case, spending the night with a friend and ended up wanting to rob them for their phones. So shot mom's boyfriend and killed him and then ran off. On video, talking with your co-respondent about the homicide. And then, Emily, now you're level 2 and you had dropped down in February to level 3 unacceptable for talking, not following instructions, not doing schoolwork. So Roderick, if you're not level 1 outstanding, I'm not even considering releasing you. We're going to go and detain you. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Caleb Bold. It's really kind of simple, isn't it?
Judge Kim,
Yes.
I'm covering for Miss Huey for Caleb Olds.
What if I say no? All right, Mr. Olds, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days, deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days where you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney, and your attorney, Mr. Hall, is here. So this is I remember the CVS parking lot over vape THC cartridges, and allegedly you went to the car, backseat, held the gun to the driver's head, tried to rob her. She said no, so Emily shot her. So, and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. So, seems like the arrangement for the vape oil cartridges was arranged through Snapchat. Search warrants came back to you and arrested in Groesbeck, Texas. And so you're looking at capital murder charge. You're a level 1 outstanding. Now, you know our deal, Caleb. If you're 17 and you're not level 1 outstanding, I'm going to go ahead and house you downtown. My question then is for Ms. Hall, why did his behavior level drop 2 days ago? He just got to level 1 outstanding 2 days ago. What happened?
He was on level 1 acceptable before that. He had a couple of infractions for not following instructions, but he's pretty much been on level 1 the entire time. He's dropped to 1 acceptable twice.
Tell me, he's gone to level 1 acceptable twice. When was the previous time?
It was on March the 2nd.
For also talking or not following instructions?
It doesn't say in the system.
And you were on probation at the time when this happened for evading arrest with a motor vehicle. You got probation before for credit card fraud, burglary of a vehicle. No, you had deferred prosecution for burglary of a vehicle, stealing a car. Yeah, Caleb, I'm not going to release you because I think you're a flight risk. And you're also smoking weed while you're on probation.
You said I'm a sir, excuse me, sir?
Hold on a second, I'm reading. Yeah. But Caleb, I expect our 17-year-olds. Do we have a parent here?
Yes, I'm here, Judge.
Okay. So I expect our 17-year-olds to be examples of other kids here in our detention facility. It is not a right to be held in the juvenile detention facility when you're 17. It is a privilege that I grant the kids if they do the right thing. But if you've dropped down twice to level 1 acceptable while you're here, that means you are setting a bad example for the other kids. And I'm going to remove you from the children here at Kimbo because you're actually disrupting their path to rehabilitation. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you. I'm going to go ahead and transfer you to the Tarrant County Jail. Thank you, Mr. Olds.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. All right, so Peyton Scott has waived his hearing. Next, we have Norman Walsh. Mr. Walsh. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Walsh. I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days. Deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. And Ms. Carter, your attorney is here. Good morning, Virginia.
Hi, Judge.
All right, so Norman, so you're 16, you're almost 17, you're level 1 outstanding, have been for almost a month now. Good. And let's see, you're referred by Fort Worth PD. Say there's a welfare check. When they arrive, talk to your grandfather. Oh, that's right. This is our. Hi, Grandpa. How are you?
Fine, I'm fine.
Good to see you again, sir.
Yeah, I did my exercise this morning.
Is that by coming to court or you do something else?
No, I was amusing myself since it's so lonely in the house. I just, me and the cat were exercising.
Well, I will tell you, I hope to be doing as well as you are when I'm 91, if I make it to 91.
I wish you'd put that in writing. Because I've been accused of being an old fogey, and all kinds of things, and it's exasperating. And I don't want to hurt you, okay?
All right, so where are we now? What are we? I mean, I'm looking, Grant, I really want to know from Mr. Ortiz, from Grandpa, and from Ms. Carter, where are we going with this one? It seems like Norman has other issues going on. I'm not sure juvenile detention is really going to help those issues. My concern is I have to make sure that Norman is safe, which I'm not worried about, but the public is safe if I was to release Norman. So where are we?
Which Norman are you talking about?
Okay. Well, I'm Norman Walsh, the juvenile. I want to make sure that he's not harming anybody else if I was to release him. I want to release him from here. I don't think he belongs here. He may need a more structured environment, but I don't think Kimbo's appropriate. But the law says if I can't find a place for him that the community remains safe, I must keep him here. So what are my options, Ms. Carter?
Judge, I do know that APS and CPS are involved. I can tell you that his grandfather wants him home. I can tell you that Normie wants to go home. He's on level 1 outstanding. And I think Lynn has some more information, probably a lot more than I do, actually.
All right.
I've spoken with the children of Mr. Walsh. They've contacted me and expressed some high concerns of how their dad would be treated by Norman based on his historical activities, maltreatment toward the alleged maltreatment toward Mr. Walsh, and they're significant. The other thing is that I know that APS is also involved, and the worker is going to be contacting Mr. Walsh to set up a time in order to meet with him. I've spoken with the CPS worker. I don't know if that's her right behind Mr. Walsh, but I know that she also has some information that she's wanting to consider, and that may be helpful for you to decide. I would not be unwilling to consider possible placement, as you mentioned earlier. Maybe detention may not be the place. Maybe I can consider this case to be a placement option if you desire. But I'm also waiting for the psychological to come back on the 29th in order to to also provide that information to the attorneys and to yourself if necessary. But there hasn't been a petition that's been filed, and that's the only information that I have.
So do we have somebody from the department here?
Child Protective Services?
Yes. Child Protective.
That's me.
Okay. Thank you. So what plan do y'all have?
I'm Sorry?
What plan do y'all have?
Well, I was waiting on the psychological evaluation to determine what, really to take it from there to determine if he is fine to go back with his grandfather or if he's gonna, it just depends what the court also decides what's the best thing for him. But really, I'm just waiting on the psychological evaluation to move from there.
Judge, the problem with the psych is that it's not supposed to be for 2 weeks, and then the result of that won't be back for 3 weeks. Since there's no petition that's been filed, and he's Normie is on level 1 outstanding. He wants to go home. His grandfather wants to go home. I don't think we have any problem with some rules and procedures put in place by APS or CPS. They're going to do their job, but I'd have to agree with you that detention is probably not a place for him.
I don't think it's healthy for him, not with his particular situation or needs. All right, so Normie, can you hear me? That's a yes?
You can talk, Normie.
Hey, Normie, if this is true, where you're being physical with your grandfather, that you're holding a knife, I'm not saying it is, but if it's true, do you understand how that puts everything in a different situation?
Yes.
Okay, do you understand, like, words are one thing, getting upset or kind of withdrawing to your room is another thing, but when there's an actual physical action that can threaten somebody, do you understand how it just looks different to a judge?
Yes.
Do you understand that if I let you go, that you absolutely cannot do anything physical?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's no confusion about this one, right? Very literally, anytime it turns physical, even if it's a threat of something physical, you understand that that gets me involved in a different level, right?
Yes.
And it's not just you, but that's every kid in Tarrant County. You understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do I have to worry about you if I was to release you of either being physical with your grandfather or threatening to be physical with, and this is not just your grandfather, but anybody. Do I have to worry about you being physical with anybody or threatening physical harm to anybody?
No.
Okay. We got a deal, right?
Yes.
All right. So, Grandpa, I've got a question for you. Does Normie have a history of running away?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. All right. So, Normie, I'm going to release you. All right. CPS and APS are both going to have certain conditions to protect you and your grandfather. Okay. So you have to follow by those rules, but I'm opening the door for you to go home. But do you understand that if you are either physical or threaten to be physical with anybody, I'm going to bring you back here?
Yes.
Okay. You want to give this a shot?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think you know enough about me that even though I don't want to bring you back, I will bring you back if I feel like I have to, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Normie, let's give this a chance, all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Carter.
Okay, see you later.
See you later.
Your Honor.
Mr. Van Wilson.
Right.
No, sir, you're very young, very young spirited.
All right, Mr. Wilson, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. I'm deciding whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you here, you'll see a judge every 10 days. You have the right to be silent. You have a right to an attorney. Attorney, Ms. Hamrick. I think I've seen her. Ms. Hopkins, I guess if you can substitute in for Ms. Hamrick.
Yes, sir.
All right, man, you're 16. You're on determinate sentence probation. You were just placed on determinate sentence probation in 2019 for 6 years for aggravated robbery using a gun. And then now you referred before with PD in January. There's dispatch for domestic. Oh, this is one where evidently you bought a car and your baby mama wasn't happy with the car, staying with her. They're saying you threatened to shoot her and the family.
She was calling me just
Handgun on you, the match the description. Let's see. No, they found a handgun in the car that was in dispute, and that they found the box, the handgun, in the bedroom that you share with your kid's mom. And you're a documented gang member. So you're looking at an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. One of your conditions of probation was not to be around weapons. You also had probation before for assaulting a public servant. You got arrested for ag assault with a deadly weapon back in 17. Now you have new aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. So I know you're level 1 outstanding. I'm glad that you are, but I have a deep concern if I was to release you, that you would be a harm to yourself, to others. So I'm going to continue to detain you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
But Judge Ken, what if it's not true? Like, when you find out that it's not true?
So that is something that you have to talk to Ms. Hamrick, your attorney, about fighting the case. I don't know if it's true or not true. So you're being very respectful, so I want to explain this part to you. So what the law says is I'm supposed to consider the reports that I'm given, and I'm supposed to assume that it's true. This is because this isn't a trial. This isn't deciding whether it did or not. I'm just taking the report that the police give our probation department, and they give to me, and assuming that is true. If it makes it a violation of our law, then I have to go forward and decide whether to detain you or not. The fact that you're on probation and this is involved for an offense using a weapon, a gun, and you're also, according to the report, also found with a gun in your possession, then that makes me very hesitant to release you. Yes, do you have another question?
Can I at least be released on the month of my birthday in 2 days, Judge Kim? I do not, it's hard here, Judge Kim. I know that it's a consequence. It's very hard when you ain't do nothing. I let people bully me. I'm a big guy and people bully me, and it's hard for me to just let it go. I let it go though, just like the next time I live. So I can hold on here. It's hard for me, Judge Kim.
Right. So, and Ms. Hopkins, he's not talking about the offense, so I'm a little more comfortable. If he gets there, I'll cut him off. So, Mr. Wilson, I get it, but here's the thing. A lot of kids are going through the same thing, right? With the bullying, with the confrontation, with the conflict, okay? That is part of why I give so much weight to the level 1 outstanding, to the behavior levels, is because for somebody to make and keep level 1 oath, that means they're walking away when people are confronting them. The ones that stand up and throw down, they're the ones that drop in levels. So that's why it's so important. It's actually kind of a test, and you're passing the test. So if you're not level 1 outstanding, I wouldn't even consider this. I'm going to let you know every time we have these hearings that I consider your behavior level, the fact that you kept your behavior level, you are scoring points with me every time you do. All right. But it's not one of those, you just got to get there and then automatically you're out. This offense is serious.
I've been an O since I've been here. I've been an O since I've been here. I've been an O. I never got an A. Never got an A. I never got a B. I've been an O. It's I'm trying to show you that I'm eligible out there in the world. I don't. It's hard for me, Judge Kim. I don't want to be in here. I was in here last time for a long time. I don't want to be in here no more.
No, and it's not lost on me. Like, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to do this. What you just have to remember is, given the offense that you were looking at using a firearm that you're on probation for, and now we have witnesses saying that you had another gun and was threatening people with it, that is what's making me slow down. I'm not giving up on you. I'm just slowing down. Please understand that there are kids I do release when they've been behaving well over a period of time. But when it involves guns, everyone back there knows Judge Kim is really, really cautious anytime a gun is involved. Okay? I'm very, very cautious. I
don't have access to nothing, Judge Kim. We just moved. I don't know. We can move. I moved with my mom. I don't none of that. I got a son raised. I'm missing him. I missed his first words. I missed his 2 teeth. I missed everything. My birthday is coming up. I'm missing everything. And it's not a cause for Judge Kim. I just want to go home. I'm falling into a depression. I've been keeping myself up. I've been trying to maintain my level. I keep myself up. I read my Bible. But that's only gonna work for so long, Judge Kim. I'm only human. I'm only human.
All I can say is don't give up. This is part of when you're accused of having a gun around you. And at the end of the day, you still had a gun in the car that you bought, and there was the box for that gun in the bedroom that you were sleeping in. And so whether or not it's yours or not, but either you made decisions that were in violation of probation, or you're choosing to be around people that you shouldn't have been around. And that was your poor decision. All right. And that's going to be the difference between you revoking your probation, going to prison or not, is whether you made a poor choice or whether your choice was breaking your probation or the choice was hanging around people that you shouldn't have been. All right. So don't get discouraged. I know it's discouraging. Don't give up, because I am paying attention. In my mind, you're getting credit for every good decision that you're making. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right. So at this point, these proceedings have been broadcast to the public to provide the public with meaningful access.
Yes, at this point, we are going to go on to our next hearing shortly, but I'm just going to tell a quick story and get a little bit of a second opinion. So, for anybody new here, don't worry. I'm literally working in the background to get the next detention docket, and we will watch that. But I was having chest pain yesterday. It was right here and in my shoulder. And it hurts when I breathe. I'm in Canada, lucky me. So I went to the hospital last night. They took me for an EKG or an ECG, and they gave me, and that didn't take very long, but nobody seemed very concerned about it. Then they took blood and did blood tests. Then they sent me to another room where I waited. And then the doctor came and found me, and he was listening to my chest, and I suggested the pleurisy thing, and he just sort of like shook his head, no, like no. And then I had a chest x-ray done, 2 angles, and then they had cardiac enzymes done. And then they checked for I guess whatever, like blood clots somehow. And the pain was pretty bad. So as I'm going through all this, you have to understand they didn't even give me a bed. I was sitting in the waiting room, and this gentleman, so no, wait. First this woman comes in, and she had swallowed an earring. She was older than me, like in her 50s, swallowed an earring. And I was like, how does that happen? But anyways, so the whole point of this story is that she went for an x-ray, and her x-ray came back, and the nurses, I could hear them talking because I have good hearing. They're like, the radiologist said there's no earring. And I was like, no, my brain's going, no earring. Like, what is this lady here for? Well, then the nurse goes, but look at this. And she had pulled up the x-ray, and she found the earring. So I'm a little concerned about the radiologist who probably looked at my chest x-ray, and he couldn't find the earring. How is he going to figure out my stuff? And I overheard this, the nurse being like, you know, I should be getting paid what the radiologist gets paid because I found that. And I'm like laughing a little bit to myself. And this other nurse comes back at her like quick, and she goes, hey, if we just woke him up from a nap. And to be fair, you're crap at everything when you're first woken up from a nap. And I was just like, haha, wait a second. Did he read my charts first too, right out of that nap? Like, uh, it, it's a little concerning now that I say it. But as I'm sitting in the waiting room, a man comes into the waiting room. He is wearing a tent as pants. He has somehow fashioned the pants with a tent. He is not wearing anything else, just like dirty with a tent wrapped around him, and in quite good pants. And he pulls out the wipes that they have everywhere, and he starts like wiping down everything. And he doesn't want to put the wipes in the garbage after they're used. So he decides that he's going to use the plastic cups to put the garbage in. And he went through every cup that they had out. Now, he used so many wipes and he was like running around talking about how dirty the place was and imagine this man is wearing a tent. Like literally, I'm talking about a tent as pants. Um, so he finished wiping down the area. Then he decided to go around the whole waiting room and clear up every item that he found that wasn't sort of attached to somebody. So he taking all these dirty hospital stuff and like piling it all up onto a chair. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. This guy is messed up, right? Keep in mind, he keeps stacking cups with all these dirty things in it. Then he proceeds to take off one sock, and he puts that in a cup and puts that in. And at this point, I'm laughing, but it's hurt so badly that I have to go to the nurse's desk and I'm like, listen, you guys, I need something for the pain, and you guys need to check on this dude. Like, I don't know what he's doing. The nurses finally come out and they're like, hey, buddy, what's going on? She starts to clear up the mess and he freaks out. What are you doing? You've ruined it. I used one hand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going insane. So they're busy dealing with him. Earring lady gets a little bit forgotten. She ends up leaving. I'm still sitting there. And in the end, they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can see. I did not offer him pot. He was not to be helped like that. But seriously, it was like at the end, they literally sent me home with a leave. And no, you couldn't see anything. The tent was covering. He fashioned a tent into pants or shorts. Absolutely. Um, seriously, it was nuts. And then so the nurse comes and she goes, I've got a shot to give you. It should help with the pain, but it's gonna hurt a lot. And I was like, oh, Earring Lady, first of all, Earring Lady was a whole piece of work because I could tell they were not from in town. They arrived and they were like looking around, like freaked out. And they asked what the hospital was called. I'm like, this is not a big town. We only have one or two hospitals. Like, you know what they're called. And how do you swallow an earring? Exactly what my first problem and question was. Jacqueline, let me scroll up and see. I might have missed it about as for a second reading of the films. Yeah, I think I probably should. Um, but anyway, so how basically so she comes in and she was brought in by ambulance, first of all, and the ambulance guy was cute, whatever. And they asked where they were and like what the name of the hospital was, thought it was very odd. But I have super good hearing again. So he goes to tell the nurses what's happening, and I can hear him still talking, but he's whispering. And he's doing the transfer. He goes, so she swallowed an earring. She's tachycardic, but she's fine. She's got nausea. And I'm like, she swallow an earring? This woman's like over 50 years old. Like, if she did it while she was sleeping, well, how did she know? Like, it's not like a tongue piercing or something. So, you know, what, how would that be? And so, no, you can't record in the ER. There was a very big sign. I was upset about it. Anyways, so she was covered like blankets, chest down in a wheelchair. He goes, she picked up pills and popped them back with water without even thinking about it, and her sharp earring was in there. I'm like, that sounds so fake. It just sounds crazy. But she was with her mom. Her mother, who was like 90, was there. Then she made a phone. This is the other way that I knew that they were probably American. No offense, guys. But she immediately, the guy was like, they were like, what's the wait time? And they were like, it's about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. And immediately the woman's eyes like freaked out and she like pulled out her cell phone and she's like, Um, Hello, David. David, it's so and so calling. We're in an emergency situation. But we need another doctor. I'm like, where are you going to go now? You're at the hospital. Do you really think that you should find another doctor? Should you not have called them before you called the ambulance? Anyways, she left before I did. I'd like to point that out. But there's two things. My daughter once swallowed a penny, supposedly, and we took her to the same hospital, and there was no penny in her x-ray, but now I'm wondering a little bit about that. And Jacqueline, I'm scrolling up about pleurisy and we're trying to find it. Uh, it can be very severe in cases. It's easier to hear it than see it since it involves the lining around the lungs and not inside the lung. It's not something you can see on the x-ray. Yeah, and so the other problem, I guess, is that I'm not like they did cardiac enzymes, they did all the blood tests, they did a urine test. I have no infections. So they he's not about to give me any sort of only a 4-hour wait, right? It was crazy. But so they and literally sent me home with a leave. Um she got an x-ray too. I mean, we've heard about her x-ray, which had nothing in it. Um I gotta get my hands. I guess the x-ray won't do anything. My whole point is this. I live in Canada and I've had decent health care my whole life. When I get to the hospital, every time I've ever gone there before, I've always come out feeling better than I walked in. I've always left thinking, okay, I understand what to do now, or I know what's gonna happen here. And this time, I'm like left in the same pain with no diagnosis and nothing else. I was like, hold on, did I just get like the C team or the D team or something? Like I'm usually pretty nice to people and very, very forgiving of medical people. They deal with a lot. I mean, they're dealing with Tent Man and Earring Lady. I wonder what they called me in their heads. Dancing Lady. Oh. Um, but yeah. Anyways, so that's my story from the hospital. I literally went there at 11:30 last night. I didn't leave until I think 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock this morning. And I saw so much shit there. So much that stuff. That guy ended up getting escorted out of the hospital, kicked out before me again. Anyways, so I'm oh, that's the last thing I was gonna say. So they were giving me a shot. It was a shot of Toradol. Okay. She says, this is gonna sting. This is gonna hurt a lot. Well, I don't know if they were thinking I was trying to go for drugs because I didn't ask for anything for pain medication. I was just like really in pain. And finally, after the dude's sock came off and I was laughing so hard, I literally went to him or went to her and I said, I gotta get, like, I need something else. So she comes and gives me, she goes, this is a shot of Toradol, but it is going to be painful to give you. So please, it's going to hurt. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fine. And she gives it to me and I didn't flinch. And she was like, no, seriously, people usually like scream when they give you that, when I give them that. And I was like, no, I have, and she goes, you have a very high pain tolerance, eh? And I was like, yeah, I do, which is why it's very concerning that this still very much hurts me. So, yeah, it was early this morning when I left, was it? Yeah, I can't even keep track. Anyways, so it doesn't feel musculature at all. It feels completely like in my lungs. And but I am upon, learning from Gracie that I need to breathe deeper. I was shallow breathing yesterday. That's how I got through the day. So, did the shot help? No. No, the shot didn't help. The Toradol didn't burn, first of all. Again, I do have a high pain tolerance, but and then secondly, I think part of my problem is sometimes when I go to the hospital with this type of thing, which is not visible necessarily, I'm in pretty good spirits. I try and be in good spirits whenever I go. And so I think that they maybe like don't realize like when I'm saying it's in pain, What was the CPK value of my cardiac enzymes? Phew, good question. Um, I I I will ask if I can figure that out. They didn't even tell me that. They had to run those to another hospital. We only got two. They had to run them to the other hospital to do that. I didn't want opiates though. I honestly wanted like I don't know, fucking epidural. Not really, but I really wanted something like it seemed the pain hasn't moved at all. It hasn't shifted, and it's seriously right in my shoulder really bad. Um it's it's very painful. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I've had shingles, I've had a child, I've had you know, Toradol is non-narcotic, yeah. Uh and I don't care about I wasn't necessarily wanting drugs. I was wanting to figure out what's going on. For the longest time, you can't see it right now, but I just last year I went to a chiropractor for the first time, and I went in and he was like, "Oh, you're here about your ribs." And I was like, "My what?" No. And he's like, "Your ribs are like out of place." And I was like, "What?" It's like you don't feel that bump on your chest. I was like, "Yeah, I've had that bump on my chest for like 5 years." And then he did this adjustment, and then all of a sudden I could breathe again. I was like, "Holy moly." Yeah. So apparently I lived with like a dislocated rib for a long time without really worrying too much about it. I have gabapentin. I'm probably going to take some of them. I just got off gabapentin all by myself. So I don't really want to go back on it, but I wonder if it might work for this type of pain because my I've been using my cream as well. Like I have a really nice pot cream, green balm that's like almost empty. It's the most amazing cream. Um, oh, Lynn, I didn't do it without pain medications. Did they check my gallbladder at all? I don't know. You know, they weren't very upfront about what they were checking. It is my left side and left shoulder. Yeah, it hurts deep when I breathe in deep. When I move, I can like create the pain. I'm definitely like guarding in the side. And but he said I sound clear like and I had no infections. They did two different like many vials of blood. I was like, that's the good stuff. I have O negative blood. Don't waste it. Nana says, trust the doctor. I'm sure they read yours properly. But I don't know. I usually feel better, you know? Like, I don't often distrust the medical system that we have because I think that most times people are doing their best, but I maybe got a bad night. Yeah, costochondritis. I've heard of that before too. It's just very much breathing related, anyways. And also, my question is, he said they checked for blood clots. How do you check for blood clots? How do you do that? Can he actually do that or is he lying? And they did a check for my urine and I don't think it's a kidney stone. I know O negative is like gold and they won't even let me donate it, if you can believe that. Because I lived in Britain during the 80s when there was mad cow disease for more than 6 months. And so Canada has a rule about donation. Abdominal sonogram. That's good job, Jacqueline. Yeah, I was way high and I managed to wean myself completely off. It was very hard. Um, I found that that was the most needed drug that I was taking of all the different ones. So, yeah, we're a huge hot mess here, guys. Oh, see, laughing hurts. Oh, and seriously, guys, burping hurts so bad. Also, sneezing. So you can see clots in lung tissue on the x-ray. Also, I obviously don't have mad cow, but they have this rule for yeah, I definitely did not have a CT scan. No, I had 2 chest x-rays from side to side. And he told me that it would probably last 6 weeks and that that's just it. Yeah. Stretch more before boogie boogieing in the kitchen. That's probably it. Hey, gabapentin worked for me for a very long time. It is a great drug. I was on it for like 5 years and it was great. But OD dimer checks for clots. I thought you were saying dinner, Jacqueline. My brain. Um, they gave you Demerol, Debbie. Oh, you get an ultrasound. That's how they see it. Yeah, no, I don't. I would love an Airbnb, a nurse and a chef. That would be amazing. Okay, let's go on to our next episode. We've talked enough about me. Um, yeah. Crystal, I was all about gabapentin. It really worked for so many problems that I've had, and it was great. What I happened to notice is that of all the drugs, because I have ADD, I run out of drugs a lot because I'm bad at redoing prescriptions. And what I found was that of all the drugs to run out of, that drug was not a good drug to run out of. And that was like a red flag to me. I was like, oh, I don't really like that. Sort of like being able to run out and not worry about how I'm going to feel and like not being happy. And so it took me a while to adjust to that because I was using it for emotional regulation. And so it makes sense that it was regulating my emotions. As everyone always says, it's a nerve medication and it got people off my nerves. Oh my God, this lady's upside down. What in the is going on here? I've never broken a bone either. I've dislocated apparently, but never broken one. Maybe the ADHD has become muscular. Yeah, Lenny, it's not good to run out of it. And I just, I don't know. I don't know. I take a lot of different drugs. I've tried them for different ones. And raiding the Kembo evidence room for some crack. That'd be funny. This lady's upside down. What is going on here? Gosh. Let's watch and see what happens here. Oh, and we got Mr. Spence below me here. Looks like he's in a kitchen.
Welcome to the detention docket for the 323rd District Court for Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. We are still complying with local health authority plans for in-person proceedings, and so we are still conducting these via Zoom. However, to comply with the open courts provision of the Texas Constitution, we are broadcasting these proceedings on YouTube so the public has meaningful access to what occurs inside a courtroom. This is still a court proceeding, so I would like to remind everyone, please behave appropriately for court, and please have your camera on. Please refrain from having bright lights from behind your head as that tends to shadow out your face. No portion of this court proceeding may be broadcast, copied, or published. Violations are punishable by contempt of court of up to 6 months in the Tarrant County Jail and a $500 fine. So we'll go and start with Ahmad Blonde. All right. Ahmad, are you here? Ahmad Bland. Detention, do we have Ahmad Bland coming? All right, we'll go to Shania Farand. Shania Farand.
This is mine. It's an out of custody.
Okay. Do we have the child?
Hey, Judge, it's Daniel. They're here. I'm sorry. We had a delay, so I couldn't hear you call her.
All right, so Janaya, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. I'm making a decision whether to take you into custody or to leave you in the community. If I take you into custody, the law says you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Ms. Nicole is your attorney. I don't think I saw her, so I'm gonna ask Ms. Mills to step in. So, all right, so Janaya, let's see, you're 16 years old. You are on probation for theft of property. Looks like a shoplifting case. You got arrested a month later for engaging in organized criminal activity, which the DA considered in your probation. And then last year in May, you're brought in on a case of an assault causing bodily injury. And then you were let go, and 2 weeks later, you were picked up for assault bodily injury. Those are both dismissed. So here we are just on probation. So let's see, last Friday, you did not come home from school. Mom called you in as a runaway. You came back at 8 o'clock. Evidently, you make it a regular practice of not coming home from school until late in the evening without permission. Mr. Spencer says November 10th, 2021. So what's the correct date?
The correct date on what, Your Honor? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm reading your notes, and it's referencing November 10th of 2021, which is in the future. So is that wrong month or wrong year?
Wrong month, sorry.
Wrong month.
It was this month.
This month, okay.
Yes.
No, I'm saying on the next sentence, it says November 10th, 2021.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't have that report in front of me.
Oh, okay.
I've got an old one. I accidentally.
It was about saying the DA's office agreed that the DA would dismiss an assault bodily injury case. That's probably last year.
Yes, Your Honor, that was from last year.
Okay.
And she's continued to hang out with this young lady.
Yeah, so last year in November, DA said they would dismiss the case if you complete deferred prosecution and have no contact with Tiberia Heron. And school is telling your mom that she's leaving class with Miss Heron on a regular basis. So, well, all right. Whoever's on HPod, y'all need to be quiet and stop interrupting court. All right, Janaya. Well, what Mr. Spence is asking is to place you on EM to make sure you correct your behavior. I disagree. I think fundamentally the problem is you're not listening to your mom. If you don't respect your mom, you're going to get nowhere. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and detain you. You can show that you can follow the rules and behave. I'm willing to let you go. But right now, this is not a slap on the wrist. It's not merely about hanging out with this person and breaking my rules. What I'm really concerned about is you're just disrespecting your mom like this. I'm not going to put up with that. All right, so Janaya, we'll see you in 10 days.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mills. Alejandro Guajardo.
Yes, sir.
By the way, I removed all of HPod because they couldn't stop talking, and that's the detention staff.
Yes, sir.
All right, Alejandro, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. The law says when a child's brought to a facility, you have to see a judge within 10 days. I have to decide whether to keep you or release you. And you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Mr. Sierra, your attorney, has requested this hearing. Mr. Sierra, for what purpose did you request this hearing?
Your Honor, at our last detention hearing, my client was a level 1O, and you detained him for reasons that he had not been evaluated as of yet. That was when you made a specific order that he get evaluated within 48 hours. Since then, we got the results back, and now my client is being medicated. And because now that he's being medicated, mom is willing to take him home, bring him to court, make sure that she continues with the medication. And for that reason, Your Honor, I think now the court's in a better position to make a determination of his release that the court wasn't ready to do at that time previously. And my client is still a level 1O, and we respectfully request, Your Honor, you release him.
So we have mom here. Does mom speak English?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one of my big concerns is about your safety. If I was to release Alejandro, are you worried about your safety?
No, sir.
Okay. You're sure about that? You're not just saying that?
No, I'm sure about that.
So Mr. Kroll, how long has he been on this medication? Is somebody here for Casey?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I think Mr. Kroll is tied up in another court hearing.
Okay. The notes from Mr. Kroll say he's restarted his medication. I'm just wondering how long he's been on this medication.
I'm not entirely sure. The way I interpreted it is that after he met with Dr. D, I assume that's when he went back on the two medications. But I'd have to check.
How long have you been taking your medication?
I
Tasha, look, hold on a second. Tasha Renee, don't move around. It's distracting everyone else in court. And don't have a bright light behind your head either. That's distracting. We can't see your face. I mean, this is still court, people. All right, so Alejandro, when did you start taking your medication again?
Last week. I think it was on a Thursday, Your Honor.
Are you having problems with the medication?
No, sir.
How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel okay.
Okay. Does it kind of make you kind of cloudy, everything kind of dull, or?
No, it makes me like control more of my attitude better.
Okay. So you're taking medication. You understand if I let you go to your mom, you've got to keep on taking your medication, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you stop taking it, then what am I going to do?
Keep me here.
I'm going to bring you back here, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you don't like what the medication's doing, you have to tell your mom so she can get you to a doctor to change your prescription. Do not just stop taking it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So when your mom calls us, or when we call your mom and ask her about the medication, if she tells us you're just refusing to take it, you're going to end up back here, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and release you. Mom, does he have a history of running away?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Alejandro. So I'm going to go ahead and release you now. Alejandro, I'm going to say, I don't know if you smoke weed or not, but I'm going to tell you, you cannot smoke weed or use any kind of drugs. The reason why is because any kind of drug has an effect. It's called synergistic. It has an effect that interferes with other drugs, all right?
Yes, sir.
So what happens is if you use things like marijuana, then that affects the drugs that you're taking prescribed and makes it too effective or not effective enough. And it won't be the right balance. So, you know, some kids can do it, some people can do it, and some can't. You just cannot. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Alejandro, don't prove me wrong, all right?
All right, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say something. Chow wrote a really nice comment here that her kid is cooking dinner, giving her credit. She's trying rice-a-roni, fried chicken, and green beans. Let's just say the green beans are the only thing that's turning out. But as a mom, I'll try it. I want to say my daughter once began, went through a cooking phase and was making something that I normally would not eat. It was a quinoa salad. Now, as a mom, yeah, I'm going to try it, of course. Well, I'll tell you something. I was eating my words and the bowl. I literally I was like, "Oh my God, did you make this recipe yourself?" She's like, "Yeah." I was over the moon. I was like, "Write it down. This is incredible." She was like nonplussed about it. And I was like, "This is genius. Like, this tastes delicious." It was hilarious. Anyways, let's continue on. I love there's something to be said if the medication that the kid is taking is for ADHD and it's a stimulant medication, he might have reacted well immediately. I did the first time I took a stimulant medication for my ADHD. I was like, wow, night and day difference. Now, a lot of other mental health issues are not as treatable with psychiatric medications. However, that's not to be said that they can't work. The other thing is the structure and stability within this facility, within Kimbo, is something that stabilizes some of these children who may have parents that are disrupted, who may have home lives that are horrible, who may have, no food to eat properly at home, or may be being abused. The detention facility, while to us might seem ridiculous, is maybe an escape for some of these kids. And so it's oftentimes you change the environment and you can change the action. And so I think whatever the reason is for the kids being on the up and up good, I think we should take it however it comes. But quinoa, I don't know, it's like a healthy food. Oh, Toby, thank you so much for Bake Week Fund. This is going to be a great time, guys. May 8th to 16th, we're going to be streaming day and night from a new kitchen. I agree. I don't like quinoa. I didn't want it. I was like, no. And then she made this amazing salad. I'm gonna have to look up that recipe for Bake Week or Cook Week. But thank you again, Toby S. That is amazing. You guys are all amazing. Um, you know, I don't think it's making it up that pain goes away when you're doing something that you enjoy. I enjoy hanging out with you guys, and so it's lesser when I'm doing this, and I think that's great. Anyways, but let's continue.
Anthony Harris Jr.
Right here, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm managing this today for Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days, so I'm reviewing your case, deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll provide one for you. And
I'm here, Judge.
all right, thank you, Mr. Berger. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Anthony, 15 years old, been here for 30 days. You were on probation for assault, family violence by an impeding breath, which you just got on probation January 7th. February 8th, police were dispatched to domestic. Evidently, you got mad at your mom for rescheduling your probation meeting and drug test. According to mom, she did this because she knew you would fail the drug test. So you got mad, began yelling at mom just to keep the original meeting date. And so evidently you ran through the house, hitting walls, yelling. At one point, you picked up a wooden chair, began hitting yourself in the forehead with it. Kept calling your mom a whore, a slut, and a bitch. Mom said she slapped you twice as discipline. I'm okay with that, Mom. Then you're reported to have shoved your mom into a wall, causing pain in your back elbow and right finger. You were detained, transported here. Then while you're in the car, you start yelling, screaming, and saying you're going to die and upset about going to jail again. You pound your forehead against the plexiglass divider, try to calm you down, but you get upset again. Once you got here at Kimbo, you continue to scream, cry, yell, and hit your head on the wall. And looks like you didn't injure yourself. And you're positive for marijuana. So
Actually, Your Honor, he was
still waiting on
negative.
records from Arlington Behavioral. And you've been on level outstanding for a month.
Well, keep in mind this child's been level 1 outstanding for a month, which means we've probably heard this case and these people 5 times or 4 times, maybe twice since. So, you know, just keep that in mind. We'll probably, and we've seen a lot of these over and over again. I've talked about this before. I don't think that hitting children is effective. I think that parenting out of a place of anger is ineffective, and also it devalues you as a parent. I never, don't think back in my life to the moments in my life when my parents might have lost control. I think of when they had control, when they were in, you know, control of their emotions and able to help me get through a situation, as the times that I want to emulate. But I've said it before, I've, as a parent, gotten, overwhelmed and didn't walk away when I should have, and then, learned later. Again, I was parenting with untreated ADHD for like 6 years. Very difficult. Very difficult for my daughter. and some of these kids are dealing with that as well. If one of these kids is diagnosed with ADHD, the likelihood of one of their parents having undiagnosed ADHD is higher than 50%. So again, if we want to help these families, that we need to look at a family solution. Some kids, the defiance will never die down, Carrie, right? Like never ever die down. And you don't breed positive feelings. So in control is scarier, quieter is scarier. You ever when somebody lowers their voice and you have to lean in a little bit to listen to what they're saying? Yeah, that shit's scary. And as a parent, I'm not trying to be scary. I'm trying to be effective with the knowledge I've gained over my life to prevent my daughter to have to deal with some of the stuff I dealt with. But she's going to deal with her own things, right? I also know that parenting is very difficult, and a lot of these parents don't have the support. So the fact that she hit her kid in the face twice, to me, makes it very sad. However, I also, I used to run a mommy's group when I really hope that we prevented some things like this where we gave such ability to reach out to somebody in that moment, to have friends and groups that help in these situations. That's what I hope that we can give, a neighborhood expression of care, as we all say. Now, Evelyn, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Please come back sometime. We often go long. You guys definitely try yam noodles if you are gluten free. You can usually get them at a Japanese store or Korean store. Shirataki, I think they're also called. They cook up to be completely clear, and they're delicious. Yeah, Debbie, and I'm not saying that parents that did use corporal punishment weren't good parents. That's not at all. You can use corporal punishment without being angry and probably be effective. What I'm saying is that in my experience, the only time I've ever wanted to be physically make that impression on my child was when I was angry. And then I calmed down and decided on a different method. And so I think that the more tools we all have in our tool belts, the better we can do for kids, our kids, other kids, the world, basically. But people, people do what they know. I went to a elementary school that was 110 years old, and on display in the hallway was the strap that they used to use at the school. It's it always I always used to have this weird sort of dream about what would happen, what I would do if the teacher started doing that to me, because I wasn't going to put up with that in my mind, even because I was going to school in the 2000s, and I was like the archaicness, but that wasn't that long ago for people. And my grandparents were hit at school by a teacher, and I don't agree with that at all. But it was very easy for me once I got my ADHD under control to never want to hit anybody. I don't want to hit. I just, my anger isn't there the same as it was. But when I was untreated for my ADHD, anger was what got me going. I used to fight with my mom, my sister, and then my ex-husband. I wasn't a bad kid. That's just how I got myself going, my dopamine going. Your private school spanked. Yeah. A long paddle had in fifth grade teacher's desk and he used it. Yeah. See, it's not the memory I'd like kids having of, yeah, Jesse. It's not good. You know, um, what I want to say to those kids, those adults who were kids, is that I'm sorry that happened to you and that I appreciate that that wasn't fair. No matter what you did, it wasn't, most likely. But you can be different. And, you know, yeah, spanking has to be done at a timeout in love and anger, not anger. You have to be really, I think if you're willing to put as much effort and energy into being positive and trying to change a situation, you'll find better results as if you put the same amount of energy into being mean or upset about it. But again, I technically am a parenting expert. We can add that to the list, Cha, of duties that I've had as a parenting expert. But um, every kid is different and every parent is different. Um, I mean, Jody, I'm reading that about in elementary school, you had a yardstick. In junior high, the teacher threw a textbook at you for chewing gum. So in one of my classes, I do remember a teacher taking a child by their neck and pushing them up against the chalkboard because he got so mad at the kid. And the teacher didn't get fired. He was like, and he was my favorite teacher, by the way. Still is. But he never did that to me and never did it to anybody else either. It was a very odd situation, but I remember that. Yeah, anyways, my whole point is that there are other options. It's hard to do, but parenting from a place of calmness is difficult but very, very worthwhile. And your kids, like the way my daughter is to me, I'm very lucky. I was a way worse kid. So she's a great, great kid compared to me. Um, yeah, kids don't forget as much too, right? I also have my brain's a bit different because I have aphantasia, so I have no visual imagery. And so my brain works a little bit differently. The memories I have are very like body and mind, I guess. It's interesting. Um, yeah, there's some horror stories about kids in schools, and I hate that because school should be a very safe place, but it's not always been like that for kids.
Well, Anthony, I'm going to lay this out for you. Hold on, I see your hand raised. I'll let you ask me a question in a minute. So, had this been one of those, you came in for drug test on the rescheduled meeting, you were dirty, then I don't know, I may have brought you in, maybe not. I may not even have known about it. Your probation officer may have just let this one slide and referred you to other services. But then you got upset with your mom, you escalated, and the police were called. And that way, pretty much guaranteed you're going to jail. And then you kept on screaming and yelling. And then the cop car, you kept on doing more. And then once you got here, you kept on doing more. So here's what you don't realize, Anthony, is when you dug yourself into a hole, stop digging. And you just kept on digging. So at this point, you still haven't dug yourself out yet. Yeah, I know you've been level 1 for a little while, but I'm not convinced that if I was to let you go, that you're not going to go ahead and continue that. Like, I don't know if you've learned from this experience or not. So I'm going to go and detain you for a little bit longer, and we'll see if you can keep it up. But I'm going to let you know, had you only just come in when your mom scheduled this, manned up and owned up to it and be like, Judge, sorry, I made a mistake, we'll work with you. But when you keep on doubling down and making it worse and worse, what really upsets me probably more than anything else is you calling your mom those names. She's the person that's sacrificing for you. She's the one, the money she's spending on you, she could spend on herself. She would like a new car, a new purse, a new phone. There's things that she would like to do that she's not because she loves you. And she is foregoing her benefit to make sure that you can enjoy the fruit of her labor. And the fact you disrespect her like that, the assault on her, that bothers me too. You just dug yourself and you kept on digging. So it just takes longer to dig yourself out when you dig it even further. All right. So I saw your hand was raised. If you have a question for me, I don't mind answering your question. And if you want to tell me something, your attorney does not want you to tell me anything. All right. So do you have a question for me?
Yes. You said I tested positive on the drug test, but they said I tested negative.
Look at the report.
Judge,
Yes, Mr. Berger.
Judge, I believe that he was positive back in December, but at the last, what I'm showing is that he was negative on February 8th.
You are absolutely correct, Mr. Harris. So this last drug test. So here's the irony about all this. Your mom scheduled the meeting. You were upset that you were going to fail a drug test, but you would have been clean. So like all this, like never had to happen. If you just showed up and take your drug test, you would have been clean. Nobody would have known that you smoke weed. But the fact that you escalated it, we all know that you were smoking weed while you're on probation and that you're the one that did everything. Like you put yourself in the situation. You would have been fine had you showed up, right? Which in a way should be really frustrating for you. But Anthony, what I hope you get out of this is a lesson that, you know, when it's time to face the music, you face the music. You know, if you're caught, you're caught. Don't try and fight it and make it worse. Okay. All right. And that's kind of what you should look forward going here as I detain you a little bit longer. Is you look at that and be like, you know what? This is what happened. I need to make the best of the situation and move on. And next time, don't make the same mistake again. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Harris. Mom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Breeland Jordan. All right, Breeland, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. I'm deciding whether to keep you here or release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Your attorney, Mr. Berger, is here. Good morning, Mr. Berger.
Morning, Judge.
All right, so Breeland, you referred for evading arrest back in January. Tried to pull a vehicle. This is the one who pulled out of the parking lot and pulled right back in, but you are not being truthful about the father of your child. So all right, so you finally did tell us the name of the father. Okay, Breeland, I'm at the point now where I'm not sure I believe you or not. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to put you under oath. Well, we'll have a separate hearing. I'm going to release you. I'll put you under oath and make you swear that the person you're naming as the father is actually the father. If it turns out you're being deceptive to us, you can pick up a new case for perjury. You understand? Okay, so you're sure Vincent is the father of the child, or
Positive.
I'm sorry?
I'm positive.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is I'm going to, let's see, Mr. Nava, let's go ahead and bring her in this afternoon. Let's just do like 1 o'clock or something. And then I'll just swear her in as a witness and she can tell us the name of the father of the child. And then what we can do is, if she's lying to us, if it looks like she was willfully deceiving us, then the DA can face aggravated perjury charges, of which, Breeland, you can do, well, if it was an adult case, you could do up to 20 years for that lie. Okay? So make sure that you're telling the truth. If that's the case, then I'm okay releasing her on monitor. Do we have mom here? Or grandma,
Yeah.
right? Is it
Yes,
mom
I'm
or-
here.
All right. Are you ready for her to come home?
Yes, sir. I would appreciate it. Just
Yeah,
because.
I've been wanting to let her go home, but you know, when you're 15 years old and pregnant, you shouldn't be having secrets. She needs to act like a 15-year-old girl, not, you know, a 20-year-old girl.
Yes, I understand that, and I'm very hurt about it. But I mean, she needs medical treatment and everything. I wanted to try to get her home to get her the shot, COVID shot and things. So I appreciate you.
Okay, no, I appreciate you too. And if she gives you any problems, please let us, Mr. Nava, know, and we'll get involved. Okay?
Okay. So when can I take her home?
Well, we just have to bring her in as a witness and swear in. If Mr. Nava, if you want to find an associate judge, we can do that as well. It doesn't have to be me.
Okay. So this evening.
It could be this morning. Don't even leave the building yet.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. The next one is Orion Lee.
Morning, Judge.
Morning, Mr. Youngblood.
I'm just gonna stop for a second and explain this because I think what just happened there is, for some reason, they are obsessed with finding out the name of who got her pregnant or who the father of her baby is, and she has not satisfactorily given Judge Kim and all his minions. He's not letting her go until she says under oath who the father of her baby is. And I feel like that's a weird thing to tie to the release of her. And also, who that's going to be difficult to lie about. Not like Jimmy John, whatever name you come up with. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't, this is again, sometimes it feels like Judge Kim is parenting, quote unquote, judging, quote unquote, um, guiding these kids in sort of a wrong way. Um, she's like having multiple men in front of her demand that she relinquish this information. What if she was raped? What if she doesn't know? What if she had an assault that happened and all of those things? And I get that it's their business in a way, but it's also the wrong tact in my mind of going about it. If he is overage, then he should face charges for being with a minor. But this isn't the way you're going to get that out of her. So if they wanted to get her on their side in the sense of, hey, this young girl has a child and she's going to need to raise that child and we want to help her, other than just like, you know, criminalize the guy. Do you want to help her or do you want to get somebody in trouble? Because if you want to help her, I bet that this is not going to get her trust level in you very high. So again, if your goal isn't to help her have a more successful life with a child that doesn't end up in the system like her, then this is not the way to do it. But if your goal is to perpetuate the juvenile justice system as a mechanism to an end, then sure. Go ahead, Judge Kim. Go for it. What disappoints me is that Judge Kim's not nuanced enough to be able to see that. Judge Manning is. A lot of the judges we watch are. They see a situation and they see the big picture immediately and they're aware of all of these little things. And Judge Kim is sometimes very tunnel vision. He has like one trigger thing for each kid, and all of a sudden, this is it. Oh, I would have lied immediately too. Easily lied. I would have lied about, oh yeah, there's many, yeah, 100% CRD. And what if she slept with two people in the same week? What if she was drugged and raped by R-worded by multiple people? What if she doesn't even recognize that right now? She can't remember. Do you think it doesn't kill her? You can't DNA test if you don't have anybody to test it against. And again, these are the types of things you don't think you have to tell a kid, hey, remember, one day there's going to be a judge who is going to make you feel pretty bad about yourself. And he's going to try and beat you down. But you got to remember that you're strong and it's okay. And the choices you've made are those that you've made, and we will live with them and move forward. Like when you say things like, oh, I think she's already had this baby. If I'm not mistaken, this baby is born and they took her away from, she was brought here and he was keeping her from her baby, if I recall correctly. And I already didn't like that at all. But what if she was? Like, first of all, none of their damn business. Her body, her choice. If she wanted to have sex with 20 guys and get pregnant with a freaking lotto system and not know about it, I'm sorry, but she can if she's over the age of consent, or if they're at whatever. And by the way, she's 15. I was having sex before that. I was 14. Okay. So I'm just, again, it's ridiculous to me that these are the things that you're worried about. How about, oh my God, this poor girl needs wraparound supports because she has, I bet there isn't consent in the state. I bet there's a lot of, there, you're not going to find me up here preaching a lot about politics or whatnot, but I'm a very, very adamant believer in women's rights and women's rights to choose for their bodies. And that goes both ways. I had a child at 19. I chose to keep her. I've never had an abortion, but I am be damned if other women can't, if they want to. We are women and we can choose those things for ourselves with absolutely, and you know what? With the help of a partner, if you've got that partner. But if you don't, absolutely, you can do it. Age of consent is 18. See, age of consent is like 14 here. Exactly, bitches. We against bullshit. It would be better if she loved herself and knew her worth and value, then she wouldn't be doing that. 100%. But let's say, but then we wouldn't be in this situation. I was very lucky not to get pregnant in high school, but I was barely out of high school when I was pregnant, and it was very, very difficult. But it is important to note that no law would have prevented me from doing what I did anyways. And again, the point to intervene in a child's life like this is about 6 years before this happens, when you need to be involved in your child's life at a very good in a good way at a young age and continue. And the more people the better. I'm not saying you have to have two parents, but if you don't have two parents, then you got to get support around you, because that child needs different places to go, different people to talk to, different life perspectives to find out. And the other thing is, when I was 18, there I definitely was with older people that were like adults, and maybe not great, but again, these are the things that we do. um she's already had this baby. I think we could be focusing a whole lot on, hey, let's not get her in trouble. How about she has to mandatorily complete a parenting class before she gets released, not fucking tell us who the daddy is. Like, come on. Let's be realistic. How old is this baby? Was she breastfeeding? Did you just separate a breastfeeding mother from her baby? I mean, there are women's prisons in Canada where you can have your baby in prison. Um, so, I think that it is crucial. Sex ed is crucial. Um, Self-esteem is crucial to instill, and difficult, Um, I'm reading, stories in the chat from people that went through things like this. Like, it doesn't define you necessarily. You can be so successful, you can be amazing, and you can only do that with the right support and or luck, really. So what they could do here is get her a mentor. Get her a mentor of a mother who has made it out of the system, who has succeeded, and have her join other groups, have her go to different schools, make sure that child is in daycare if possible, so that the daycare can help keep an eye out and help with parenting. I mean, the the reality is here, true, her grandma has her. Where are her parents? If she doesn't have parents around, how is she going to know? She's got a lot stacked against her. And again, the money and cost that we spend in these hearings, the amount of money on the screen right now is in the thousands and thousands of dollars. And we do these very often, every day, in many different places. And all I advocate for is a redistribution of some of these funds and energy into very strong role models for women when they're young, when she's pregnant. I mean, I used to run a group called Almost Mommies. I wanted these women and girls who were almost mommies to come, so that when they first had their baby, they knew already who to call, who to talk to, who to vent to, who to say, am I going crazy? Do I need to put this baby down? Is this something wrong? These are the things that ground you as a mother, so that when the situation arises and nobody is around you, you have all that experience to go back to and say, "Oh yeah, I remember. I got through this before. I I can do that again." And if you have a mother that did that in front of you, you have a great leg up because you already saw how that happened. But some people don't have that. And um, when you devalue yourself and then other people, you know, rub that in, then you can end up in a bad way. So what I would prefer to see in this situation is really if you want to find the guy and bring him to make sure he pays some child support, fine. But I don't get mad at her about it. Like, let's move forward. You have a baby now. What milestones are your babies near? Like all these things that preventing her child from entering the system would be amazing for. Um Amy's mentioning that she marched for the Million Women March in January 2017 in Vancouver. Um, I would absolutely feel the same way if the lady judge told her to tell Jacqueline, probably even worse. I don't like Judge Terry very much. People know that. And uh yeah, honestly, most of these situations make me feel very defiant in my like gut. My gut reaction is just this no. And then I practice backing myself down from no to, oh, let's see what the situation actually calls for. But I still very much default to whenever somebody in authority tells me something, yeah, I can do this better. Um, Also, yes, long-term birth control is probably a really good idea for a lot of these kids. Um, with the correct counseling and monitoring of that, but I think that it's important to deal with that like that. Hiya, Mayor. How are you? Anyways, yeah, honestly, Jacqueline, I think I would be even harder on Judge Terry if she was asking for it. I don't like anybody really prying into, but the problem, and here's the issue, is that this is just not quite an adult. You know how I feel about consent, and you have to be able to give consent, but that's important. Anyways, let's continue on my ranting.
Breeland only knew how easy it was. What?
Also, I think the back and forth in the court about the
All right.
cases before and after is unprofessional in this particular court. It would be one thing if you were in the court there that you like if this courtroom didn't bother making people come on camera and was like, yeah, don't pay any attention. We'll like ping you when it's your turn, like blah blah blah. But no, this guy's like, sit up straight and listen to me. Like, he wants everybody at attention while he jokes with his secretary. It's like, dude, get her a camera or don't. Like, we need to be able to hear it properly at least. Anyways.
Mr. Lee, are you here? Orion Lee. Orion Lee. Which pod is Orion Lee in?
He's here, Judge.
What's going on back there today?
They're having problems with the computer, but it's good now, Judge.
Well, I don't understand why the computer's been on. Like, what's the problem with the computer?
It went down and William had to come up and log back on.
Well, no, I kicked y'all out because somebody there would.
Again, douchebag much? What's the problem with the computer? You kicked them out, Judge Kim. Please, what? Like, I know you're a lawyer, so you only ask questions that you know the answer to, but screw you. Okay, that's just lame. Don't go after these guys. I really bothers me when he is rude to the staff. Like, the staff that actually handles these children on a day-to-day basis, because all that does is make them pissed off, and that will trickle down to the kids. Why do you do that? It's like a bad boss in a workplace can ruin the entire workplace. And he is the big boss in this workplace. And I bet it is not very pleasant working or being there because of him. And I think he takes pleasure in that for some reason. It's like, do you not have other people to like vent to? Does Judge Kim need to come into the YouTube group and vent here a little bit? You can vent about anything you want here. Don't go home and do it. Don't go to your job and do it. You know? Can we get some puppies after this? Right? Actually, I love watching the Asher House sometimes. Just makes me so happy. Okay. He's horrible to the staff. And so like he doesn't command respect at all. He demands like obedience, but he has not gained any respect from anybody in my experience. And what that means is like, you know how valuable the detention staff would be at telling you how a kid will maybe react on the outside versus these probation officers who sit in their offices all day? Do you want to know who actually knows about that? It's the detention officers who are actually hands-on with these kids, dealing with their temper tantrums, dealing with them. And you have them writing stuff up all the time, docking people points left, right, and center. Like, again, Night R. Fulmer. I would love to run away to the Asher House too. Maybe if I ever get as big as the Asher House, I'll make a KCC house and you guys can all come there, okay? Anyways. But yeah, it really bothers me. So now he's about to waste however many minutes of time reprimanding these people in front of what he knows is a large crowd on the internet for very little reason, less time than it would have taken to just properly and with grace allowed them back into the meeting because they are staff and they might have difficulty sometimes. Like, what the heck, dude? Seriously. Also, I don't like bosses that like micromanage that kind of stuff. Like, do you really know the computer works? Did you go check it? I guarantee you don't have them stocked with top of the line shit. So, anyways, let's go.
Wouldn't stop talking, and it was interrupting the rest of court. So I'm just trying to figure out if anything's going on.
Oh my God. But it's good now, Judge.
Well, I don't understand why the computer's been on. Like, what's the problem with the computer?
It went down and William had to come up and log back on.
Well, no, I kicked y'all out because somebody there wouldn't stop talking and it was interrupting the rest of court. So I'm just trying to figure out if anything's going on in HPOD that we need upper management to fix.
No, sir, everything's good.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Lee, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. When a child's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days and have to decide whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. We have appointed Mr. Youngblood as your attorney. And so, Orion, you're 16 years old. You have never been here before. And, no, wait. Yeah. All right, so back in February, 911 was called to domestic shooting. Detectives arrived and spoke with your mom, who said she and her husband started to argue about the younger kids. He threatened to beat her and leave her. He came from a room and told him he was not going to touch your mom. And so, who's talking back there?
I don't know his name.
Orion, is somebody in your room talking or right outside the room?
Yeah, they're outside the door.
Can you go up? Can you get up and shut the door? No, I'm telling you to get up and shut the door. I don't care what they're telling you. Thank you, sir. Whose radio is that? Is that theirs still outside?
Radio.
Mr. Ansley? Can we do something about this?
I do not. Let me try and get a supervisor on the phone, Judge.
Thank you. So is this, do we have, we don't have a parent here?
Yes, Miss Tasha. She's
Okay,
on.
Tasha. All right. So Tasha, you're the mom? No, who's
Yeah, that's my mom.
That's your mom?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the mom.
All right. So is Naimol his father or stepfather?
Yeah.
Stepfather, okay. So stepdad said, what are you gonna do about it? So you produced a handgun that had a strobe light on it. So everyone thought the gun was fake, but then, so he turned aggressively towards you. They're saying that your mom held him back and told you to leave the house as you were leaving. And when stepdad grabbed you a couple times, despite mom trying to hold you back, you broke free, pointed a gun over his mother and fired several shots, hitting him in the torso and arms. So mom called 911, gave first aid, and you fled. March 9th, there was a traffic stop. You were a back passenger arrested on warrant. The gun was not recovered. All right, so I'm going to find there's probable cause that the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon occurred. All right, so Orion, I'm going to let you know if this is an adult case, you could be looking at up to 20 years in incarceration. All right, now there may be defenses on this one. That's something that you need to talk to your lawyer about. But straight up, I'm letting you know what the potential offense is. So I know there's a whole lot going on here. I wasn't there. There's a whole lot of information that fills in the blanks that I'm just unaware of. All I know really is part of what's from the police report, okay? At this point, what really worries me is the fact that you were on the run for a month, okay? If it's one of those that in your heart of hearts, you thought that you did everything right, then there's no reason for you to have been on the run for a month. That's the part that's got me concerned. Mom, I see your hand. I'll let you talk in just a second. So, that is my biggest, well, that's probably my biggest concern right now is you not returning to court compared to other options. All right, Mom, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, he wasn't on the run for a month. It happened on the 27th.
Well, okay. So 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks?
2.
I mean, the fact that he was on the run. Did you know where he was the whole time?
No. I think he was just afraid.
No, I understand. I totally get it. And that's the thing is, that's the measure of a man is when you are afraid, whether you can do the right thing or do what you want to do or try to avoid like what you're afraid of, right? And that's part of the whole court process is that there's an accountability. And that's why one of my biggest concerns, what the law says I have to be concerned about is whether somebody's going to return to court or not. The fact that he was on the run for several weeks, that's got me concerned. Mom, do you know where the gun came from? Okay.
If I might, Judge, it's actually 10 days that he was on the run. Not that that's critical, but just to make it clear.
Oh, well, thank you for the clarification. So, Orion, I'm going to hold you here for now. I need to be more comfortable. Mom, I do have a question. In the future, if I considered releasing Orion, is there a place I could release him that's not around your husband?
Yes.
Where would that be?
My mother said he can go to her house.
What county does she live in?
Terrence.
Tarrant County? Okay. Okay. All right. Orion, I'm concerned that your 16-year-old that has a gun, I'm going to let you know, whenever a kid has a gun, I always hold them at the beginning just to make sure. So, I mean, they may have told you that already. You kind of knew that was coming. But as far as releasing you, that's where the facts really matter. And so this is not an easy one for me. But for me, the fact that you're on the run, that really, that bothers me more than given the situation that you have, okay? So get your behavior level to level 1 outstanding. I'm not going to release you unless you're level 1 outstanding. But show me that you don't belong here, that you belong at home, and then eventually I'll get convinced and release you home, okay? All right, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've also got Mr. Price Tucker, so I'll hang about until you get to him, Your Honor.
Thank you. Camilla Perry. All right, Ms. Perry, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. law says when a child's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 10 days, have to decide, or within 2 days, have to decide whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent, you have a right to an attorney. And your attorney is Mr. Houston. Dwayne, are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. All right. So Camilla, you're 16 years old. You have never been here before. So yesterday, Fort Worth PD brought you in. They're saying the police responded to domestic. When they got there, mom said that you came into a room to talk about a Facebook post. Mom didn't want to talk about it, so she was dealing with something else. So mom left. So you left the room and slammed the door. And when mom walked into your room, told you not to slap the door. There was an argument, and evidently you started hitting her, and they both began fighting. Mom's husband broke up the fight, but then he began fighting again with her mother, pulling her hair, hitting her in the face with her fist, bit her several times, causing pain, being abusive and disrespectful. Mom was able to restrain you, which is how the police found you. Mom had bite marks on her arms, chest, and legs. Mom indicates it's not the first time y'all been fighting. Last time CPS was involved, family had to do therapy and anger management. Mom says mediation may not be helpful. She thinks you're smoking weed and found traces of weed under your mattress when you were being detained by the police. And mom is in the waiting room because she showed up late to court. So.
She's there, young.
I'm sorry?
She's person.
Oh, what is this Kendria's phone? Oh, must be somebody else. All right, so mom, you're here, good. Well, my first question is, you suspect your daughter smoking marijuana?
Yes,
You want us to give her a drug test?
yes.
Okay.
But I know.
Well, you know. I mean, do you know, did you give a drug test or do you just know?
I just know.
Okay, so let's get some proof. All right, so Mr. Dotson, let's go ahead and get a UA for Miss Perry. And then Camille, what you don't understand is sometimes moms just need mom time. Moms can't always be there for everyone else 100% of the time. And if she just says, I just need my time, then you have to respect that and give her her time. That's the first thing. Second thing is I need you to understand that parents cannot fight, your children cannot fight their parents. Your parent has the right under the law to discipline you using physical force. Can't be abuse, but she can use physical discipline. A child does not have the right to defend themselves against that. That's just the law in Texas, all right? And so I can tell you right now that I'm just not happy with it all, that you have the attitude to think that you can disrespect your mom by hitting her and striking back at her. So I think, mom, it looks to me that Camilla is she just thinks she's way older than she is. And that she, it looks like, wants to make decisions like an adult, but she wants to behave and get consequences like a child. And I don't agree with that. Camilla, if you want to make adult decisions, I'll treat you like an adult and you get adult consequences. If you want to be treated like a child and get child consequences, then you have to behave like a child, all right? So either you can be a good 16-year-old daughter to your mom and you get treated like a 16-year-old girl does and give an extra kind of, I call it deference. I give you extra grace because you're a 16-year-old girl. But if you're going to make big girl decisions, then you get big girl consequences. And this is what happens with the law when you make big girl decisions. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you. All right. I'm going to see what your attitude is like, see if you can behave here at our facility, and if it's something that can be helped. And if you prove to me that I can release you back home in a manner that's safe to both you and your mother, then I'll go ahead and release you. But if you continue to misbehave here and have an attitude and do what you want to do because nobody can tell you better, then you're going to stay here for quite a while. I'm going to let you know this is a misdemeanor level offense. Right, so you cannot go to prison for this one. You cannot go to TJJD, but you can get probation. You can get placement in facilities if it turns out that you have deep-rooted drug issues or mental health issues. I can't place you in a facility out of state for 6, 9, 12 months at a time and to help you with those issues. So this is probably a good time to start to get your act together and decide that either you're going to be 16 or you're going to act like you're 26. All right, Mom, are we on the same page on this one?
Yes.
I think so. So, all right, Camilla, prove to me that you deserve to go back home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terrence Tucker.
Were you able to meet with Mr. Dotson before?
I spoke with him briefly.
Okay, if you,
All right, Mr. Tucker, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days, deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Your attorney, Mr. Youngblood, is here. All right, Terrence, you're 15 years old. You're level 1 outstanding. You're on probation for evading arrest with a motor vehicle. From March of 20, you got on probation in July. In November, you get arrested for stealing a vehicle, which for some reason the DA gave you probation again in January. And then now, Fort Worth PD brought you in. You were evidently driving a vehicle that was stolen. When they tried to pull you over, you got out, began to run. Even though they told you to stop, they deployed a dog. You were bit by the dog and transported to JPS for treatment before you were brought here. This is your 1, 2, 3, 4th referral for evading arrest. 1, 2, 3, 4th referral for stealing cars. So, Terrence, I'm absolutely convinced if I was to release you, you're going to steal more cars and run from the police again. So I'm not going to release you. So I'm ordering you detained. Stephanie, do we have this scheduled for a motion modified really quickly? Like sometimes you just got to cut bait.
He's set on April 5th, Your Honor.
Okay. So Terrence, April 5th, less than a month, we'll decide whether you get commuted to TJJD or you get a second chance or fourth chance on probation.
Judge, I don't know that this is your problem, but Terrence was bitten by police dogs when he was captured. He says he's still got problems with that wound, that it's still bleeding pretty often, and he thinks he needs stitches. He also has strep throat, and he says he's not getting anything except Tylenol for that. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay. So I guess my question then is, whose is this? Mr. Howard, can you make sure that he sees the nurse? Mr. Youngblood, has your client filled out a yellow sheet?
Well, Mr. Howard says he has. I haven't seen it, of course, but.
Okay. Well, Terrence, did you fill out a yellow sheet?
Yes, sir.
Did you see a nurse?
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but they supposed to be coming later today.
When did you fill out the yellow sheet?
I filled it out this morning.
Well, so why didn't you fill out yesterday or the day before?
Oh no, I did. I've been filling them out every day. They just give me Tylenol because my medicine ran out for my leg.
So the last time you saw the nurse was when?
Yesterday.
And the nurse checked out the dog bite?
Yes, sir.
And what did she tell you?
She gave me Band-Aids and Neosporin to put on there, and I put the Band-Aid on there. I rechange it every day.
He feels that the wound is bigger than a Band-Aid can deal with.
But Mr. Howard, the nurse is saying that that's the recommended treatment, right?
Yes, he went through, I talked to him yesterday. He said he did fill out the slips. I told him that's pretty much the protocol. So the nurse has been checking him out from time to time.
Mr. Youngblood, I just don't know if your client has the medical expertise to know. Terrence, how many times have you been bitten by dogs?
2.
2 times. Yeah. Mr. Youngblood, I mean, part of me is like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And then part of
I
me is like,
understand, Your Honor, but he made me aware of this when I talked with him on the phone, and I promised I would bring it to your attention.
Okay.
Because what he was presenting to me was that the nurse disagreed with him, and he thought they basically just didn't want to send him to a doctor because of the difficulties involved because of COVID. But if he's really got a bleeding wound that won't stop, I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, Mr. Howard, if you just send the nurse an email just verify that this does not need further medical attention, like in her medical opinion. And
yes,
then
I can do that.
We'll defer with what she says.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Youngblood. Michelle Sosa.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Terrence. All right, Michelle, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. The law says when a child's brought to our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Mr. Beavers, your attorney.
Good morning,
Michelle, good morning, Mr. Beaver. Michelle, you were here in 2018 when you were 13 years old for an assault case. Juvenile probation gave you a supervisory caution. And then now you're 16. Yesterday, about 5:30, they responded to Jasmine Western Wear, and you were detained. turned out that you entered Gomez Western Wear nearby, tried to steal a shirt. When confronted, you got angry, slapped an employee, then left. Then went to Jasmine's store, was alerted. You grabbed several shirts, stuffed under your clothes, passed all points of sale. Officers found the stolen clothes and the assaulted victim from the first store, confirmed that Michelle was the person who assaulted her. At the end, you refused commands to get in the police car and turn around. They tried to take you in custody. You fought, had to be restrained, cuffs, brought here for assault, bodily injury, theft, $100 to $750, and resisting arrest. And you're positive for marijuana and benzodiazepines. Your parents are at the hospital since your mom recently had transplant surgery. We don't have a parent here. So I have a question. So, Mr. Beaver and Ms. Mowdy, I'm curious, or any other attorney. So you have robbery, which is taking property using force. But then if you don't actually take property, but you try to and use force, that's attempted robbery. If you attempt to use force, but you're taking property, but don't actually use force, that's attempted robbery. But what if, I'm just hashing this out. It's a law school question, right?
Judge, my understanding case law is reflected that if you attempt to take an item and you use force, but you're unsuccessful in obtaining the item, a robbery was still committed.
What if you dish the items before you use force? Like you abandon, I think this is a law school question, right?
I think you're right.
I don't know. Either way, Michelle, your parents aren't here and you just escalated things. I'm not sure why you are even out and about when your parents are at the hospital because of your mom's surgery. So I'm just not good releasing at this point. We'll reassess this one, Mr. Beaver. Get in contact with the parents. We'll figure out if they can offer adequate supervision. I'm really curious about where she was supposed to be when mom had just finished surgery. I'm really concerned about how her school has been, like what her pattern of behavior has been lately. Michelle, I'm open to the idea of releasing you, but I'm not going to release you if you're going to just, if it just allows you to keep on doing what you've been doing. Also, Mr. Beaver, I'm very curious about whether she has a prescription for Xanax or not, or if she's illegally using benzodiazepines.
Well, Your Honor, I did speak with the mother and she does have prescriptions. I believe that her father is going to take the prescriptions and the necessary paperwork down to the Kimbo today. And I will follow up with respect to where she should have been and how she's doing in school, Your Honor.
Right. Okay. And Michelle, just as a final note, just so you know, these offenses, the misdemeanors, you cannot go to TJJD for. So the resisting arrest or the, well, let's see. Yeah, the resisting. Yeah, all these are misdemeanors. Resisting arrest, the assault, bodily injury, and the theft of property. However, if the DA decides to file these as a robbery charge, you could be looking at commitment to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department up until your 18th birthday. If it turns out that when you're resisting the police, that one of the police officers was injured at all, even like a scratch, that you could be looking at assault on public servant, that you could get committed to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. What you have to realize is nothing is so bad in life that you can't make it worse. If all this is true, you took a bad situation, you just made it worse, and made it worse, and made it worse, and made it worse. You kept on making it worse. Hopefully it wasn't worth it. But anyways, Michelle, I just want to let you know that this, at this point, isn't that serious, but it could get pretty bad pretty quick. All right? Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver. Makaya Walden.
Walden.
You know, we've been doing this for over a year. You would think we could get the kids lined up right. Sorry? Is it? You have new staff? All right, Makaya, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. When kids, you've been here for 10 days. Deciding whether to keep you or release you. By keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days. Your loved one outstanding, good, for 3 days. And you have all this history. 2019, assault public servant, which you got probation for. You got arrested for criminal trespass later, theft of property, stealing a car, which got added to your probation. A month later, assault. 4 months later, let's see. So now we're here. February 9th, we issued a warrant for removing your electronic monitor and leaving home without permission. You turned yourself in, which is good. And February 24th, I will be detained until we can figure out placement. So where are we on the placement process?
Yes, she's still scheduled to go to placement in April. They anticipate a bed sometime in April, but they're still reporting that a bed is not available at this time.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I remember this. All right, Makaya. All right, so, Ms. Burrell, why did she drop down from level 1 outstanding?
When I looked this morning, she was still level 1. She dropped for a day. It was for being disrespectful to staff, as well as yelling profanity when she was instructed to get up, arguing, with staff in class, and talking to staff while in the shower.
Kaya, I just want to make sure you understand something. This placement, I am placing you because I'm trying to help you. But if you convince me that I can't help you or you don't want my help, the placement's not guaranteed. I can change my mind. So either you do what you need to do to get the chance that you're asking for, which is placement, or just let me know that you're not going to do it, you don't want it, and we'll just do a motion to modify hearing to see if you need to go to TJJD or not. It's really just that simple. You're either asking me for the chance, and if you show me that you deserve the chance, we'll do it. But if you're telling me to give up on you, I will give up on you. Right? I can't help people. I can't help kids that don't want to be helped. If that's what your message to me is that you don't care what I think, you don't care what anybody thinks, so you're going to do what you're going to do, just let me know. Save us all some time. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you, but this is really, I'm pretty much at the end of my rope with you. I know you're level 1 outstanding now, but you don't need to do these shenanigans where you keep on dropping down. Right? Don't push me is what I'm saying. Because at a certain point, I'm just going to give up. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you. I'm not going to let you go because we've got to wait for placement. And it's going to start the search again if I let you go. All right, thank you, Makaya. Felicity Willingham.
Willingham. Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'll be covering from P.O. Castillo today, Your Honor.
Over. All right, Felicity, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days. I'm deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you'll see a judge every 10 days. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Your attorney, Mr. Okoye, is not here, but Ms. Mills is going to step in and fill in for her. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Judge.
Okay, according to the report, let's see, Felicity, you've been here January for an assault bodily injury, and then we let you go. But did we let her go? No, she's been here the whole time. All right, so this is from January. Let's see, Mom said you were a habitual runaway and ran away from Aunt's house, was gone for 3 hours. Aunt's given up.
Do it.
As of a fight that happened on New Year's.
This is about to happen.
Tracy?
No, just
Tracy? Thank you. And so when Mom arrived, you were upstairs laying in the bed, told the mom you're not going with her. She grabbed your leg and you kicked her in the leg, hit her in the face 3 times, pulled a straight of her hair. Mom, police basically said you said the same thing except Mom hit you first. Do we have a parent here?
No, Your Honor.
Has mediation even been considered?
No, Your Honor, due to the fact that client, the last time client was here, she was released at her, when she was placed on probation to go stay with the aunt. Then this event, aunt had enough. Mom is saying that, she can't control her. And so she's actually being resource staff as we speak. And court is set for March 30th.
Felicity, has your mom or aunt or even been calling you while you're here?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Are you trying to rebuild those bridges?
Yes, I actually been talking to my aunt and my mama, and they both saying, my mama's saying that she doesn't want me at her house, she want me at my aunt's house. So I've been trying to call my aunt and ask her, and she said if I get released to her, then we're gonna have to have a talk.
Yeah. So, Felicity, look, there's some decisions that you made that weren't good decisions, okay? I'm not talking about necessarily this case, but overall, right? In the past, there were some bad decisions made. It is not their responsibility to heal those wounds, okay? Because I'm pretty sure, and this has nothing to do other than the fact that you're a teenage girl, and teenage girls can be mean, they can be rude, like I get it. I had a little sister, okay? So I'm putting this on you, that it is your job to try and rebuild those bridges, to heal those wounds, to develop the relationships, okay? And this is just part of what every teenage girl goes through, right? Ms. Mills, agree? When you were 15, you had some bridges to build back up, right?
Yes, I would agree.
And Felicity, it's not just about you, but every woman that you talk to will tell you that they had something similar where there's, and I don't know about similar like your individual case, but I'm just saying in general, a lot of things are said, but they don't mean. A lot of things are done that they don't mean. And later on, they kind of grow up and realize, I was wrong. And so I know there are things like that, but that's every 15-year-old girl in the world, okay? So what I'm just telling you is try and rebuild those bridges, try and develop those relationships because you were in the wrong. Not necessarily about the assault, but there's something else, right? And so I'm putting that on you. Life is kind of putting that on you, that it's kind of your responsibility to do that. You've got to make an effort. They don't have to forgive you. What happens is they want to forgive you. Just give them a reason to forgive you, okay? All right, so Felicity, right now I can't release you, but keep on building those relationships on this phone calls. Yes, you have a question.
Yes. Is it any way that my court date can move up earlier than the 30th?
Oh, so I don't know. That's kind of a big dance we do here. We have 3 judges for all the cases that we have, but we've got hundreds and hundreds of kids, and the attorneys have their own schedules, and they're dealing with dozens and dozens of courts. So it's we try and make it as soon as possible, but a lot of times the court date is set because that's the first date that could be fit. Okay. If it makes you feel better, for all the courts in Tarrant County, we set them the fastest. And then all the juvenile courts across the state, we're setting them the fastest. So you're better off in Tarrant County than anywhere else right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's on March 30th, so it's 20 more days, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot, Miss Mills.
That's okay.
Sorry to trigger a bad emotional memory from junior high.
Well, I also have a 13-year-old daughter, remember, so yeah.
Oh, so Daniel Martinez. Atticus. And we have a mud blind still.
And Your Honor, I apologize. I was trying to balance 2 hearings. I'm so sorry. I thought I was muted on yours.
No, it's okay. It's well.
It's been a morning, as you know.
Okay, so do we have a mod blonde? We're gonna go to Bland first. Ahmad Bland. All right.
Your Honor, I
Yes.
apologize. His mother is texting me saying that she's in the waiting room if you wanted her to attend.
Now she's late.
Understood.
And I'll be covering for P.O. Lemire on this case as well.
Right, thank you. All right, Ahmad, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. We've been here. Let's see, when kids brought in, you see a judge. Man, aren't you tired of seeing me yet? You gotta be tired of seeing me. Tired. So you're 15. Let's go back over, I go over your history every single time, right?
No.
And so this started when you were 12 years old with an evading arrest from the police. You got probation for that. And you were also arrested for aggravated robbery but that was dropped. So then you turn 13, you get arrested for stealing a car and violating your probation because you were arrested for stealing a car. The DA dismissed the stealing the car. So now you are 13 still, you get arrested for evading arrest again, which you got probation for. So you had probation for evading arrest, and you're found guilty of evading arrest again while you're on probation, but you still got more probation. You violated probation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but they kept you on probation. And now, 3 days after your 14th birthday, you get arrested for stealing another car, which the DA dismissed that one. And then 2 months later, you get arrested for, 3 months later, you get arrested for robbery, which you then got probation for. In March of 2020, so at this point you are 14, get arrested for another evading arrest, stealing another car. They dismissed the evading arrest, but added the probation on the stealing the car, so you got probation again. And so you are on probation for what? Robbery, 2 counts of evading arrest, and 1 count of stealing a car. So here we are. 4th PD responded for a stolen car call, saw a stolen vehicle sitting in front of Smokies. Police got there, vehicle was seen leaving Smokies, so they kept on watching. Vehicle parked, they saw you leave the driver's seat, and they kept on watching the vehicle. And they watched you walk to the shopping center, kept on watching you. Officers came on scene, and you were taken in custody for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. So when they asked for your name and date of birth, you said it was Andrew Williams. They asked you several times, and you kept on giving the same information. They asked for your parents' name to confirm identity. You gave 2 separate sisters, which did not work. Found 1 sister listed for your mother. Police contacted mom, who advised them that your true name and date of birth, and you had a robbery warrant out for your arrest, and jail would be good for you. So they checked, saw the warrant. They told you that they talked to your mom, knew who you were, then became belligerent, cussed at the officers, and said, "Just take me to jail." And since you knew you had a warrant and gave false information, they charged you with failed to ID as a fugitive on top of the unauthorized use of motor vehicle. So what is this robbery warrant that we're talking about, Mr. Lemire?
Your Honor, we submitted a progress report because we received 2 out of custody referrals back in February the 4th. And we submitted a progress to the courts. We had an administrative hearing on the 24th of February, asking the courts to see if we can possibly release him. Could he remain in the community on EM while pending these new violations? This court approved. However, the next day, client left home without permission and a DTA was issued.
All right. So you've already done placement at Woodard Academy, successfully completed. Ahmad, you know, generally the rule of thumb is when a kid comes in, there's usually some kind of community program, diversion. The next time you come in, it's probation. Next time it's placement. Next time it's typically just commitment to TJJB. So we'll see. But at this point, I'm not even worried about the failed ID and UND. He's got the robbery case. So Stephanie, let's go ahead and set this pretty quickly. Ms. King, this Julie's case. Yeah, Julie, we're gonna set this. I want to give you notice. Like, it won't be right at 10 days, but it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna be within the next couple of weeks. Set this on a motion to modify.
Understood.
All right. And that way, Ms. Mowdy, I think you can have notice too that we're gonna be setting this one pretty quick. Whoever's assigned to this case, I think it is. Yeah, there's no prosecutor assigned yet. All right. All right, Ahmad, so I'm detaining you, and Make the best decision you can. I'm the one that's deciding whether you violate your probation or not. So try and impress me while you're back there. Thank you, Mr. Blank. All right, so at this point, these proceedings have been broadcast to the public to give public meaningful access to public courtrooms. However, since the Family Code Chapter 54.08 says that when children are under the age of 14, court hearings are presumed to be closed to the public unless the court finds the best interest of the child or the best interest of the public to open the hearings. I'm now going to discontinue the YouTube live stream. Please wait for about a 30-second tape delay.
Thank you, Judge Kimmy Kim. We will wait for the tape delay. Folks, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all, and I am thankful that you guys are here and for all your support always. I am going to go now. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to work on sleeping and not working at all. I promise. Thank you guys so much for being here. Seriously, I appreciate you all very much. I value your experiences and your opinions, even if they're different than my own. I really appreciate that, and that's what this chat's about. So I thank you very much. I hope to be coming at you soon with more and fun court. Maybe not fun court for a little while. We'll just do like boring court so I don't have to laugh. Okay. Anyways, I am gonna get going. I love you all very much. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Please stay safe. And oh, go check out Looking at Legal Stuff. She is very close to 6K. I would love to get her up over that 6K mark. Her and I are practically neighbors, and she's wonderful, been super supportive of me. And so it's you know, just like Phil, just like all the that's the way I see it. Credence and Mikey. Main channel back tomorrow, babies. I'm excited for that. Breathe deeply. I know I gotta breathe deeper. You can see it when it hurts. Anyways, I am gonna get some rest. I'm gonna drink some liquids. I'm gonna look into how I get a second opinion in Canada. They don't really do that. Anyways, I love you guys. Oh, have a great night. I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for all your kind wishes and prayers. I appreciate them all immensely. Bye.